You're an official Rob Brown lockdown. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Yeah,
Good morning.
Oh, man. Hi. Hello. How's that? Hi. What's up? How's it going? Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Happy Thursday, my dudes, my dudettes, my amigos, my amigettes. It is spectacular to be with you one more time again. Welcome in. I am Rob Brown, the great Malonzo on the ones and twos. This bright, beautiful, it's not bright yet. We'll see if it gets bright. But this hopefully lovely Thursday morning that we enter all together, hand in hand, arm in arm with the optimism. Why would you start that way?
I don't like touching because you said arm in arm, and I don't want to do that.
It's fair. It's very. If I'm getting touched this early in the morning, you know what I mean? It better be.
I'm sure there's a country song about it.
Touch me in the morning, touch me at night. Damn, look at that. 2 lines in, I'm already hitting a banger.
Yeah, I know there is actually a country song that says it, but I can't remember what it is.
Every time you touch me, it makes me feel all right. Bang! Look at this. Easy. Hollywood. Nashville.
I told you country.
Call me.
I told you country was easy.
That was more of a commercial jingle than it was anything else. Let's be real. Hey, actually,
there's a Diana Ross song called "Touch Me in the Morning." I was wrong; it wasn't country.
You be nice to Diana Ross. That's a legend right there. That's a goat.
No, I wasn't. No, I love Diana Ross.
Don't you disrespect?
She was awesome. Still wonder if she was actually Dirty Diana, even though it was said that she wasn't. But it sure does seem like she might have been.
Dirty Diana is Mike's most unappreciated song, isn't it? That's a bang. That's an absolute banger.
Oh, the guitar kills in that song. I love that song
for sure. It's his most underappreciated song. I think it's got to be way up at the top if it ain't number one. We do have sports to talk about today. Dallas last night falls to Edmonton. The Oilers get back into this thing. It is now level at 2 a pop over there. We get back tonight to New York City, where the Rangers will host the Panthers. That series also square at a deuce apiece after both teams have split 1-1 at home through the first quattro. We see who takes the elimination lead tonight. So I'd like to talk some hacky later on in the radio broadcast. Today on the show, we talk a little football because last evening, as some of you texted, tweeted, and let me know, you may have heard me. Yesterday, there was 8 hours of Rob Brown programming right here on the Fan Upstate, for which you are welcome, or I am sorry, whichever is more appropriate.
You were alpha and omega yesterday.
No, I wasn't in charge of a damn thing. I just talked
I mean,
a lot.
you started the day and
that
you
is
ended
true.
the day.
That is true. You had me from 6 to 10 A and then 7 to 11 P, and got the message from JD. He's like, "Lulz, Rob's gonna be tired tomorrow. Lulz." Hashtag nailed it. That's correct. But you know what? I sacrifice for the people.
The apology should be sent to me.
Why?
Knowing when
you didn't stay up till 11 o'clock?
Yeah, but knowing that you did.
I am an easy person to work with.
You're just a pace slower this morning.
No, I'm not.
I did have to yell down the hallway. You may say it wasn't necessary, but I usually am not concerned. But I noticed you were dragging a little bit when I was in there. So
I wasn't dragging. I was reading on some Chuck Barkley comments. Apparently, and we are going to talk about this later. I was actually collecting some audio about this that we'll play later in the show. There's a very interesting conversation going on right now. I'm glad this got brought up because this is kind of what I was hammering at there a second ago. Filled in on BetMGM tonight, last night. And for the first time in the 3 years that I have been working for this network, for BetQL. Well, really for Odyssey and BetQL. But in the 3 years that I have been working, I am, I'm relatively proud. I was told specifically yesterday that I have worked my way up to where I am their number one fill-in right now. If anybody's going to miss a show, they call me first to see if I can and want to fill in. I know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So they called me. They said, hey, Rob Brown, can you fill in tonight? I said, absolutely, no problem. Showed up, sat down in the bro cave, got ready for 4 hours of wagertainment with BetQL. And as I was running through the show rundown that Hayden Ass Mario put together for us, I noticed in the third hour of the show that we had a guest lined up. The guest came over from a betting insight website, let's call it that. And it said his name, and then it said WNBA gambling analyst. And I went, so that's real interesting, actually. It's real interesting because in the 3 years I've worked for this network, I have done shows in the mornings. I have done shows in the evenings. I have done shows on Saturdays. I have done shows on Sundays. I have filled in at least once on every single show on that network. I have hosted my own show on that network for 3 years running now. And I thought to myself, this is the first time ever that we have had a WNBA specific gambling expert on the show. And we brought him on. We got done. And one of the guys that is a background producer for the show is big into the numbers of gambling. I'm talking about like he pays attention to the books and all that. And I said, that's really interesting. Like, why the choice to have a WNBA guy on? Is the needle being moved that much? And he said, yeah, it actually is, like, not like sarcastically, not like we're trying to push anything here. It really is. BetMGM specifically reached out to the BetQL network and said, look, we've got enough movement on WNBA games right now that we'd like it if you guys would have a couple of WNBA analysts on to talk basketball. First time that's happened. Now, BetMGM will very frequently reach over to the BetQL network and be like, hey, we'd like you to have this guy or that guy. Or I was on, Monday, Memorial Day. I filled in on BetMGM tonight as well. And when I got in for that show, my guy Mario sent me a text and he goes, hey, yo, BetMGM wants us to have this guy on. And the guy came on specifically to talk about NFL rushing yard leader prop bets. That was it. It's a whole segment. He wanted to talk to us about an article that they had posted about who would likely end up being the rushing yards leader in the NFL this year. And it's a fair discussion. You got a lot of running backs that have moved teams, a lot of running backs that have moved systems, a lot that haven't, that have been successful where they are now, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's kind of how the game works, is they will reach over and go, we'd like you to have this guy on, or we don't know who we'd like who you're going to have on, but we'd like you tonight to maybe focus on this. And it's ordinarily got something to do with whatever's happening in the sports gambling landscape on the day, right? Like on Monday, obviously we were still in the mix of having both NBA conference finals working. And so they reached over and said, we'd like you to have somebody on to talk NBA playoffs. So we did. So I'm sure that part of it is because for the next week and a half or so, until June 6th, when the NBA finals start off, assuming Dallas puts away Minnesota tonight. By the way, I'm not assuming that. We'll talk about that game coming up at length in a few minutes. But assuming that we're going to have a little bit of a slowdown because we are about to enter the dog days of summer. We are 97 days away from the beginning of the National Football League season. So we have about a 11-week stretch that if you are a lesser sports talk radio host, it's where you start diving into the what's your favorite sports movie topic. Because if you're not a baseball guy, there's really not much going for you. You're going to have a couple of weeks of bleed over of the WNBA season, which extends past the NBA season a little bit. So I thought, all right, they're just, they're trying to tune us up. They're trying to prep us up a little bit. Because if you're a gambler and you're a gambler whose philosophy is you put in a solid quantity of bets, you got to have something to bet on. Let's get you warmed up and ready for the WNBA. Now, where am I driving at with this 4-minute breakdown? Where I'm driving at is that Chuck Barkley has been talking about the WA on Inside the NBA on TNT, and he has, as have many others, have cited the Caitlin Clark effect. Caitlin Clark, of course, last year was arguably, I have said she was, the most visible college athlete outside of football. Outside of football, the most visible college athlete. And the only dudes in football that were more visible than Caitlin Clark were like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr., right? I would even say Caitlin Clark was more visible as a college athlete last year than the overwhelming number of football players, even including the ones that were going to the draft. I think once you got past the first 3, 4, maybe 5 players going into the NFL draft, Caitlin Clark was the most visible player in college sports last year. Now, I know a lot of folks have said, well, Rob, that's only because the media propped her up to be. I mean, the media gives you what you want. This is one of those things that I find myself constantly in battle with people about. The media only puts on TV what is selling, okay? All of the media's got an agenda. The media's got this desire to push this or that upon us. No, they don't. They give you what you want. They give what you want. I promise you, and I've said this how many times, if you don't like a thing, don't pay attention to it. Because every single day, at the end of the day, a bunch of dudes and dudettes in suits look at numbers and they go, this thing is selling, this thing does not. I worked in news. Do you know why every news broadcast? It never starts with elementary school boy hosts fundraiser to raise money to get dying teacher the kidney transplant that she needs, right? It's never that. What's the lead story? There was a major car crash on the interstate today. 17 people are dead. Like, that's the lead story. Now, if we're keeping it a buck, those two stories impact your life the same. That is not that much, right? It might make you feel good or make you feel bad, but the value of those stories is only feel. It's how do they make you feel? The kid who raises money to get his teacher a kidney transplant they need makes you feel good. A 17-car accident on the interstate makes you feel bad. The reality is, people continue to flock to emotion above anything else. So Chuck Barkley said about the WNBA that they need to, the players within it, stop being, I'm using his words, and I'll play the audio coming up in a minute. Stop being petty about Caitlin Clark. And then there was kickback from some of the players, including one in particular who told Chuck Barkley to either, quote, invest or shut up, end quote. A bunch of the WNBA players started going off on, no. That's not how we want you to talk about the league. That's not how we want you to talk about our players, our game, etc. And like, on one hand, I get it. But on the other hand, I'm kind of looking at this and I'm wondering to myself, is part of the reason that the WNBA has had a hard time catching on? I mean, listen, I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm watching WNBA games still.
All right,
But-
this is a product of what's going on in the world today. People want to take one side or the other when the players in the WNBA should probably just let this thing be what it is. She's bringing a bunch of attention, whether you like her or not. She's bringing a bunch of attention to a league that hasn't had any for a long time. You should be happy about that and just let it go. I mean, because if you draw lines and say she's here because of this, and why are you guys paying attention now and you didn't pay attention last year, what you're going to do is the new fans that are coming over because she brought them there, they're going to go, why do I want to be over here with all this divisiveness when the people who are in the WNBA can't get along? It's not worth my time.
We are going to talk about that because I've got the audio that a number of players have fallen back on from Chuck Barkley. I've got that audio. I'm going to play it for you. I'm going to read you the response of a couple of the players, including one in particular that really kind of got this conversation juiced to the max last night, because I put that in contrast to the fact that over here, I've got one of the biggest sports books, and all they do is try to hype to get people to make bets on stuff. Over here, I got a sports book that called a show I hosted and said, hey, we want you to, for the first time that you've been hosting the show, we want you to have someone on to specifically talk about this league in the sport. Not a basketball guy, not a guy coming in to talk about the NBA or player props or league awards or anything like that. Just talk WNBA and what's happening. And on the flip side, I've got an athlete from that league yesterday that is trying to tell people how they should be a fan of that league. And I'm curious as to where the middle ground is between those 2 points. We'll talk about that coming up later in the show. We got to get to the NCAA here in just a moment, because the conversation started yesterday that is going to make college football look that much more corporate. And I'm very, very interested in your response. I will tell you what that is when we come back. I am Rob Brown, the great Malonzo on the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show is going this morning. We're going to be busy. Rashad Beard at 8:40, Fight Club at 9:20. It is the Fan Upstate.
Prize Picks.
All right, guys, quick live read, and we're coming right back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports is reporting that there is a new conversation going on regarding exactly how college football programs, college athletic departments, I think one of the mistakes I have been making, and I think a lot of folks are making it, but I know I have been making it, is that when we're having this discussion, it keeps ending up being college football focused, college football centric. And the reality is this is a discussion that is going to impact athletic departments as a whole. This is not a football only discussion. And this is probably one of those places that it is going to stand out the most. Yesterday, Ross Dellinger reported that athletic departments are currently having a conversation. The conversation, obviously, with the $2.8 billion back pay that has got to be responsible or has got to come from the NCAA, and the NCAA is going to hold all of its member institutions responsible for that $2.8 billion. Athletic departments are trying to find new revenue streams. We know that the majority of the money is coming from television contracts. We know that a solid chunk of the money is coming from booster clubs, supporters, et cetera, et cetera. We know that a small chunk of the market is coming from ticket sales and revenue sales, et cetera, et cetera. But most schools are going to have about a 10% cut to their budget for the next decade. And even when those budgets grow, you've still got to figure out how to make sure you are responsible for your back pay payments through the settlement, as well as make sure that you're figuring out how you're going to cover the revenue sharing responsibilities that are going to be hoisted upon schools moving forward. So the conversation is about finding new revenue streams for athletic departments. And according to Dellinger, one of the suggestions that is being discussed right now as a legitimate possibility down the line is sponsorships of the athletic department. Nothing new, right? You go to any stadium right now, any college football stadium, and you will see hanging around the stadium banners and advertisements for, if you're not a dry campus, beers and liquors. If you are, maybe Bob's Used Cars. Bob's real big in the college football market right now.
Bob is everywhere.
Bob's everywhere, man. Whatever it is, you see those advertisements. Well, Dellinger is saying that the conversation ongoing between a number of athletic directors and departments right now is that we may soon see corporate sponsorships sold that allow companies to place their logo on the field of play. Okay? We see that a lot, right? We see that a lot. Now, I will tell you that a lot of the sports going on at the professional level, one of the things that's been happening the last few years, this happens in baseball, it happens in basketball, to some degree it happens already with football, is they are selling green screen field sponsorships, right? If you've ever watched an NBA game, you've probably looked and either asked or been asked by someone watching with you how it is that that logo that's down in the short corner might be for DraftKings one quarter, and in the next quarter, that logo is now a Hertz Rent-A-Car. Well, it turns out they're not running down there and changing the logo at the end of the quarter. That's a green screen logo. It's just projected over the TV image that is being sent to your television and thrown out there. But field sponsorships have been happening for years. And when this conversation got jump-started last night, as so many times I do, I jumped on social media and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure the discussions about this on the internet will be calm, cool, and collected. So I went and looked it up. And people are real upset if you start introducing this level of corporate into college football, you are going to lose what made college football so very special is the common vernacular that I was seeing last night. And then it got worse because soon after, Ross Dellinger said that while the conversation about field logos is the big one at this point in time, the next conversation has already started going down that road. The next conversation being corporate logos on the players of the jerseys, or on the jerseys of the players, pardon me.
I'm looking forward to seeing the Prime logo next to the Tiger Paw.
I mean, Logan's going to be all over that, right?
But when you started saying that's the first company I thought of.
Sure.
I mean, because they managed to get their product everywhere, so why not?
I mean, let's start.
I mean, that's money right there. So yeah, you're going to try to do that.
I'm glad you brought up a guy who is, I was going to say somewhat involved. He's the damn United States champion right now, Logan Paul.
Has been. And
Logan
has defended it, the belt, and kept it.
We're going to talk some Fight Club later. Unfortunately, I have to talk about Logan Paul, the CEO, right now. Because Logan Paul did something that, honestly, if you'd have told me a year ago was going to happen, I'd have called you a lunatic. See, because in professional wrestling, again, everything is sponsored, right? Every time they open a Monday Night Raw or a Friday Night SmackDown, they do a little drone shot and they pop up the 3D logo of Geico or whatever the sponsoring company for the evening is. But the one thing, as friend of the show, Gunther,
nobody's perfect, but I am very, very close,
loves to say is that the ring is sacred. That's the one thing in wrestling you never touched, right? The ring. Inside the ropes, corner to corner, rope to rope, the ring was sacred. And then at a PLE about a half a year ago, all of a sudden, there's a big old fat corporate sponsorship right on the mat. Right there on the mat where the guys are wrestling, right? Everything is corporatized now. Everything is monetized now. Welcome to the game. And college football is not above that. And now that college football, which was, again, above that forever. I told you earlier in the week, as somebody who enjoys, because I'm a gigantic dork. Reading about the like learning about the psychology of people. One of the most, I don't like to use the word entertaining, but it has been entertaining aspects of the last couple of years is watching college football fans have their eyes opened to a fact that I already knew, and I have been telling you forever. College football is not special. It's not special. It's not any different than any other sport. It's just that they had sold you over the years on the belief that it was not like the NFL or the NBA, that it was different. It was a very special thing that only you could understand. And that's not true. It never has been. This is not a shock. This should not be surprising to anybody. Anywhere, especially now with this settlement coming down the pipe. Yesterday, if you missed the show, I played you a bunch of quotes from Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, from their spring meetings down in Destin, Florida. And he mentioned the settlement in like every answer that they gave, right? Hey, how do you feel about roster caps? Well, we got to figure out about the salary first. Hey, how do you feel about the NIL collectives moving forward? Well, we're going to know, but we got to figure out what the settlement's about yet. The settlement is the biggest thing to ever happen in the land of college football. So, yes, they've got to figure out how to address it. They got to figure out how they're going to handle it moving forward. It is something that is going to be a very difficult spot to maneuver.
Why? I mean, are there going to be fans going, well, I'm not watching. If I'm watching an Ohio State game and Marvel Studios logo shows up because the latest movie is coming out and it shows up on the field in green screen, I don't care. I mean, how does that affect the play on the field?
It doesn't.
Right.
And you don't care. And that's spectacular. I don't either. I'm in the same boat with you. I could not care less. I'm already used to it. I'm a soccer guy. In soccer, the logo on the front of the jersey is a corporate logo. There's no team logo. There's a team badge up on the crest.
It's just like a bunch of NASCAR fans. I mean, NASCAR, they're full of that kind of stuff. I mean,
NASCAR
sponsorships. Yeah.
In NASCAR, we don't refer to the driver of the car. We refer to the logo on the car, right? Corey LaJoie's driving the Chili's number 77 this weekend. That's how we refer to it. I'm used to it.
How you doing?
Thank you very much, Corey LaJoie, friend of the show. I am used to it. It is not anything that jumps off the page at me. But I was going through last night, and there were a bunch of people on the internet who were like, yo, logos on the field's one thing. They start chunking logos onto the players' jerseys, which are supposed to be like the thing of that school. I'm out. I saw an Auburn player last night. He's like, yeah, I'm going to tell you right now. If I see a corporate logo that shows up and on the Auburn blue, orange, and whites, I'm going to be done with college football. And I'm like,
liar.
What?
You're a liar.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're moving to Canada. That's still my go-to. All these people, move to Canada. No, you won't. And you're not going to stop watching because of the logo. You're just not.
I agree.
I don't know what kind of stand you made. You just make yourself look dumb because you're not going to do it.
I heard I'm never watching anymore. When the portal came out, numbers went up. I saw I'm never watching anymore. When NIL came into play, numbers have gone up. And when the school starts making the money, and by the way, you want to know how some of these schools are going to compete, how some of these schools are going to stay on the level with the rest, it's a good way to do it. Real good way to do it, especially if you're a Big Ten or an SEC school, right? I go sell the sponsorship to throw your corporate logo down on the 20. And now I know that game's going to be on the ESPN networks tonight because we got a 7:30 prime time. That's worth millions of dollars, right? Millions of dollars. We should try to get the GoFundMe to get the Rob Brown Show logo thrown on the 20 over in Columbia and down in Death Valley for our game this year, right? Millions of dollars. Welcome to college football. Nothing's changed about the game, just the way it's presented. We'll talk more about it coming up later on in the show. Rob Alonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate.
By the way, 7:15 is when you will start.
Oh.
I was talking about it.
Yeah, no, I got it now. I was like, when I start what? What am I doing at 7:15?
It's kind of like I forget what I was going to say.
The Nationals hated the Braves' 7-2 setback on Wednesday. Atlanta drops to 31-22 overall. Blaine Thomas put the Nats ahead with a 3-run homer. Mackenzie Gore got the win, improving to 4-4. He struck out 10. The series finale is tonight. Braves lefty Ray Kerr gets to start. He's 1-1. The Nationals go with righty Trevor Williams, who comes in with a 4 in a
Hey guys, I'm gonna step away for 10 seconds while I get something fixed. I'll be right back. Got the Darth Brooks shirt back in the rotation. This is one of my favorites, man. Darth Brooks is a great hell of a guitarist, like IRL.
What's open wheel racing have to do with it? Why'd you say IRL?
In real life. I get it.
Okay. All
Wouldn't it?
right. There you go. There you go.
I actually would go see that show.
What show would you not go see?
That's also very fair.
Wait, is this going to be in like Greenville or whatever?
Simpsonville.
Ooh. Is it bad that I don't know who it is?
21 Savage?
Yeah.
You've heard some of their stuff before.
I haven't.
I listen to
I guarantee you have. You just don't know you have.
I stopped listening to new music
Doesn't
unless
matter.
it's
It
on a
was-
Taco Bell commercial.
It's. I was gonna say it's. They've had some stuff on some commercials.
It's like today's music is all they're here for is like a 10-second reel on certain platforms, you know.
I'm not being critical of the music. Everyone has their own generation of music. I'm just only have room for so much new stuff.
Running out of neurons.
I am.
There was a station I used to listen to until it
Some people
went
just
away.
know there's a better way to do things.
You know,
Like bundling your home and
it
auto
played
insurance
stuff that
policy.
was more my
Or
style.
Going to the grocery store for milk instead of buying your own.
Everybody's got their station.
Well, I used to have it. It's not around anymore.
Save up to
Sadly.
25% when you
So
buy
I've
home
spent-
and auto
My station is 97 The Fan.
Well, I mean,
Heyo.
musically.
Also 98.9 WRD.
Well played.
Lonzo's a company man.
Everyone, Morris Hodgson here from Brakes to Exhaust Kits and Beyond. eBay Motors has over 122 million parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to bring home that kind of
The whole boomer thing. How many of those guys are still alive? I mean, I'm not being mean. I mean,
Yeah.
Ray was a boomer, obviously. You don't know Ray, but
Oh, Ray. Where did Ray go?
enemy of the show.
I think Ray. Oh, Ray.
the Infinity Sports Network.
Drop.
What's that, 3?
Yeah, but it's 2 apiece now.
No.
I did it once
don't-
yesterday.
No. It's you,
You did one Tuesday.
dude.
I did one
Dude.
yesterday. Then you did one
Dude.
late yesterday.
Dude,
Then
you
I
are
did one
losing.
today. No, I'm
You are-
not.
you
It
are
is
absolutely
2-2,
losing.
bro.
You're
It is not.
You're absolutely look. I get Justin's on my side. I don't know what that means, but it's 3-1. It's definitely 3.
Who the hell is Justin?
Exactly. He's my imaginary friend in the room. Yes.
Oh man. All right.
Take your L, mister. I mean, we still got a whole
I
day
was
and a
gonna say
half.
you might want to calm him down a little bit on that one, man. Just calm him down just a little bit. Hey, Scotty Scheffler got all his charges dropped because because he didn't do anything.
Because of video.
Yeah. Because he didn't do anything. Here's my favorite thing. Brian Gillis, the arresting officer in the case, and I am confident in saying now, proven liar, Brian Gillis of the LMPD is very upset right now because his honesty and integrity has been called into question. Do you know why that is, detective? Here's a case you probably don't have to spend too much time investigating, my man. No real gumshoes talent needed. It's because you lied a lot, my man. That's it. Now, as I predicted that he would, because this is just the kind of guy that he is. And I don't know Scotty Scheffler personally, but I know people who know Scotty Scheffler personally. And in conversations I've had with those people, every one of them has had the exact same take on Scotty Scheffler. He's just a good dude. He's just a real good dude, right? So I know this isn't really it's a sports adjacent topic, which is kind of our favorite kind of topic on the show. I know it's sports adjacent, But I'm really happy for Scotty Scheffler that this didn't turn into a big thing where somebody was out there trying to, push this further than it needed to go. But it's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty ridiculous. Scotty Scheffler's lawyer came out earlier this week and tossed around the possibility, because why the hell wouldn't he, that Scotty could file a lawsuit after being, quote, falsely arrested, end quote. He actually went ahead and said it. And again, after the video footage that I promise you that police department did not know existed when they were out there spinning their yarn about it came out, I said Scotty Scheffler could have probably gotten more money from the lawsuit than he would have gotten by winning the freaking PGA championship.
So maybe I missed it. Is he not going to sue them?
According to a statement released yesterday from Scotty Scheffler that he threw out there on social media, it appears that he just wants to move on from this whole thing. He just wants to be done with it. He put out a statement on, I think, Instagram that said basically, hey, man, it was a misunderstanding. Like, bleep happens. He didn't say that, I did. But he put out a statement, and I'm trying to see if I can find it for you.
See, I don't know that I let that go, because it will forever be a blemish. Even though it was a false blemish, it will forever be a blemish.
Here it is.
The video and the picture of the mugshot, all those things will be out there forever.
I'm gonna tell you first and foremost, if I'm Scotty Scheffler, I'm selling golf shirts with like little mugshots all over them, because I'd buy that shirt in a heartbeat. He said, quote, earlier today, I was informed by my attorney, Steve Romanis, that all charges were formally dismissed in regard to the incident outside of Valhalla Golf Club on May 17th. As I stated previously, this was an unfortunate misunderstanding. I hold no ill will towards Officer Gillis. I wish to put this incident behind me and move on, and I hope he will do the same. Police officers have a difficult job, and I hold them in high regard. This was a severe miscommunication in a chaotic situation. I appreciate the support during the past 2 weeks and want to again encourage everyone to remember the real tragedy of May 17th. My thoughts and prayers continue to be with John Mills and his family, and I hope to personally offer my condolences now that this case is over. May John rest in peace. Thank you, Scotty. Like I said, Scotty Scheffler's a high roller kind of guy, or a high road kind of guy. I mean, he is a high roller. He's won like a lot of golf tournaments. He's probably very rich at this point, but he's a high road kind of guy. And I didn't think for a second he was going to do anything to try to pursue this. The fact that he went in and said, I hold no will towards the officer, and I wish to put this incident together and move on and hope he will do the same. He's like giving him the layup, man. He's like, yo, bro, just issue a statement that says, my bad, and let's just put this in the rearview mirror. And then my man came out and is like, oh, my integrity and honesty is being questioned. Yeah, it is. We all saw you lie, dude. It's on videotape. Tape don't lie, right? That's what every football coach that's ever football coached will tell you. The tape don't lie. You can tell me you didn't miss your block all you want, but it's on the film, my guy. And that's kind of what happened here. So, again, I it's not much. I know it's not necessarily directly sports related, but good for him. Good for Scotty. Because as Lonzo pointed out, this is something that is going to follow him around for a long time. Because I don't know if you've known this or if you've noticed this. I have, as a golf fan. There is a new generation of golf fans out there. The Instagram fans are starting to grow up and have money and go to golf tournaments. And again, I don't care about that at all. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. All right. Yes, I know I'm to the next generation of golf fans, I'm a boomer outright. That's fine. I get it. But I have watched the game grow more from social media than from Tiger Woods in his prime all right, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's getting pretty close. I have watched the game grow from guys on the gram like Manolo. If you don't know Manolo, you should go look up Manolo. He's hilarious. He's just a Instagram influencer who is a caricature of a Latin American golfer who's freaking hilarious, but he gives really good golf tips. Like he's got some good stuff. And those folks are starting to find out golf's pretty cool, man. Golf's pretty cool. It's a fun sport to play. It's a fun sport to watch. Even my great bearded metal friend Diesel, who, if you watch it, there's nothing corporate about Diesel at all, has gotten into golf. It's a great sport. And Alice Cooper is a great golfer. All right, to take you a little bit further back, quote from my computer: "Your device has run into a problem and requires an immediate restart." So I don't know. I'll be back stream in just a minute.
It's okay. It's all Lonzo all the time. You wanted it. Now you got it.
You wanted the Zoe. You got the Zoe. So this kind of stuff happening in golf is, as much as I know Scotty Scheffler doesn't want it out there, this kind of stuff is good for golf. It just is. This kind of stuff is stuff that puts golf out there onto the landscape. It needs more character. It needs more personality. The only thing I wish that was different about this.
I don't know, dude. So they should be more arrests?
No.
Okay.
No. What I'm saying is, if this happened to a Bryson DeChambeau, who, by the way, has there been a better redemption arc in sports in the last 2 or 3 years than Bryson DeChambeau? Bryson DeChambeau, when he was big muscle boy, when he was big strong boy on tour, Bryson DeChambeau was a pretty unlikable guy. And that's from me, who likes unlikable dudes, right? I'm a heel fan. Bryson DeChambeau has really kind of turned that around to some degree. I was on YouTube yesterday, and Bryson DeChambeau is now doing like kind of corny YouTube videos. He had one up yesterday, great one, that was, can I break par with a Walmart starter set of golf clubs, like $100 set of Walmart starter clubs? Can I go? And he put up a video, it was like 10 minutes long, where he went to Walmart and he bought these sticks for $100 and he brought them out to a course. He had one the other day where he was on the putting green.
All right, hold on. Don't move past that. Was he able to do it?
I don't remember because I didn't get a chance to finish it because I was hosting BetMGM tonight, so I didn't get to finish it.
All right.
But I plan on it. I've saved it to go back and watch it. He had one the other day where he was on the putting green, I think at the PGA Championship, and he walked over to some fans and he's like, "Hey, you think I can make this putt?" And the guy's like, "Nah, man. It's like a 12-foot fadeaway putt." He's like, "Think I can make it?" He goes, "All right, make you a bet." And he said, "If I don't make the putt, what do you want?" And the guy goes, "I want your," take a guess. What did the guy want from him?
Putter.
That's what I would have said. I want the putter. If you miss with a putter, I want the putter. Or signed glove. You know what I mean? Like something cool. You know what he says? "I want your socks. I want you to take your socks off and give me your socks if you miss this putt," which is hilarious to me. All right. Maybe it's just to me, but it's hysterical to me. And Bryson DeChambeau missed the putt. Sure as hell, walked back to the green, took the shoes off, took his socks off, signed the socks and gave them to the guy, and then walked back to the clubhouse barefoot. He ends up walking right past DJ, Dustin Johnson, sitting on the stairs in the clubhouse. And DJ's like, where are your shoes, bro? And he's like, "I lost the putting contest to a guy. I had to give him my socks." DJ's like, "Your socks?" He goes, "Yeah, he wanted my socks, so I gave them to him." And then he just walks in the clubhouse like that's a totally normal thing. The point here is, there are some dudes that are embracing this era of the athlete having access to the fans like never before. And somehow Bryson DeChambeau is out on the leading edge of that. If this happens to Bryson DeChambeau, I got no doubt Bryson DeChambeau is doing hilarious things with a mugshot. Scotty Scheffler's just going to let it go, which again is hilarious because Scotty Scheffler could win like a lot of money in a lawsuit if he wanted to, but he's looking at it and going, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good." And I don't know if that is better for Scotty Scheffler or golf. I do know I am glad for him to put it in the back pocket because Scotty Scheffler is a dude that gets dialed in and wants to stay dialed in and wants to be completely on his game.
Do you
and
wash
all
those
of that
socks?
was a distraction.
Do you wash those socks?
Hell no, I frame those socks.
So they're stinky. I guess if you frame them and put them behind glass,
Yeah.
maybe they don't smell anymore. I guess.
I go get the video. I pull a still out of the second that he handed me the socks. I print a picture out. I get a shadow box. I put the sock. I hang the sock that he signed off to the side next to the picture of me giving him the socks, and I notch it up as that time I beat Bryson DeChambeau. End of caption.
So not an NFT, but
No, it's a souvenir hanging
Okay,
above the
all right.
TV in the bro cave. Bryson DeChambeau's sock. Again, I hope that if something like that ever happens to me in the moment, I have the wherewithal to come up with something that funny. Because I think most of us would be like, oh, if you miss, I want the ball, I want the putter, I want your gloves signed, I want your hat. Like I'd have probably said hat, to be honest, because he was wearing a great hat.
God, if you miss, I want $500.
Nah, he said, like, what do you want from me, right? Like, I get it.
Well, yeah.
I don't want money off of that. Money, I'm going to go somewhere else and spend. I want something that is the story of the time that I want to bet against Bryson DeChambeau. I think I'd have gone hat. I want your hat. I want you to sign your hat. I want your hat. I think that's what I'd have gone with. My man said, I want your socks. And
What-
DeChambeau honored it. That's
What
cool.
if he said, I want your underwear?
I worry about where your head's at sometimes, Lonzo.
No, I mean, if you're going
I
to
do.
ask for someone's socks,
I have
mean,
been thinking about this since I saw that video yesterday evening and all the things that I would ask for. I would have asked for his loft wedge, right? We'll see if I can hit a flop shot like DeChambeau. I would have asked for, like, I want every ball in your golf bag. I want you to have to come out here tomorrow with a brand new sleeve of golf balls because of me. I want your driver head. I want the club head for your driver. I want you to have to replace that today. I want, like, and the one thing I thought, I never would have come up with socks. I walk in here and in 3 minutes, Lonzo goes straight to, I want your underoos, Bryso.
No, here's the thing. If you, it's no more weirder than asking for socks. Both, to me, both are equally as weird.
I'm going to
Used
go.
socks, used underwear. I don't want either of those.
I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying asking a bro for his, I'm going Bryson's definitely a boxer brief guy. Asking
No,
a
I'm
dude.
worried that this is a foot guy, and he's going to do something weird with the socks. I mean,
You made it weirder. I didn't think you could do it. I'm so proud of you. I mean, usually it's me doing his best to make conversations as weird as possible. Lonzo's bringing the heat today. I like it. Hey, speaking of Lonzo bringing the heat, that's a hell of a segue. He's going to do it right now with his sports flash.
Why are you still talking? In NHL, Edmonton dominated Dallas last night to even the Eastern Conference Championship Series in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Wyatt Johnson and Esa Lindell notched a pair for Dallas early in the first period, but the Stars wouldn't find the net again in the game. 5 different Oilers found the net, and Connor McDavid was credited with 3 helpers in the win. I don't know what a helper is, but that's, anyway, I guess that's good. 49ers haven't signed Brandon Ayuk yet, but they shored up the wide receiver room yesterday, signing wide receiver Juan Jennings to a deal through 2025. Jennings had 4 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown in last year's Super Bowl. Hey, make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a whole lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire.
Southbound onlookers, that's heavy along I-85 back towards Rockland, McClymon, and your I-85 at Parkinsville Road construction, that's been picked up. From the News Talk 98.9 WRD Traffic Center, I'm Laura Houston on the Fan, upstate.
You know that house on the block with the perfect lawn? Don't you envy them? That's just jealousy.
Yeah, I remember the Barbarian. If it's the same Barbarian that I'm thinking of, I saw him one time in Ohio. Hit one of the road warriors in the back of the head so hard that the back part of the chair flew off. It was an amazing thing, and I'm remembering it from a long time ago. It's like, yeah, that had to hurt.
Call right now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I am talking last want to do, again, QC Kinetics is under the leadership of former orthopedic surgeon Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a true pioneer in regenerative medicine, and their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to Friday Night Wrestling from AP Dub. Is it every Friday? Because I need to get out for a show. I really do. I've got a Liberty game this Friday, unfortunately, but then I've got like a handful of Fridays in a row off.
Legacy Golf at District Park is opening June 10th, powered by TrackMan. Utilize this phenomenal technology to not only have fun on the range.
So if it's every Saturday, I'm in.
Friday.
Friday. What'd I say?
You said Saturday.
Yeah, if it's every Friday, I'm in.
I'm Bopper, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partnered
See that? Trey's in.
with a technology platform
Like that. Ticket sold, baby.
American Eagle technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website, I recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Every now and then somebody strikes gold on the text line from the other station. Somebody just texted, Stormy Daniels is really hoping for a hung jury. That's a brilliant text.
Oh, so you can see both.
Yeah, we share text line with Word.
Oh, man. That is objectively funny.
Oh my god. Now, will they read it? Is the next question.
Well, Tara's not there. Either the fill-in, I don't know if he will or not. Tara would have read it, but the fill-in might. I don't know. I'll have to ask Tim if he read it.
Wow.
You see that one?
Yeah, I didn't know.
You see that one?
Oh, well, he's got kids.
He
Yeah.
got kids.
I was just more looking at the Jimmy Valiant thing going, I'm surprised he's still around.
Whoever's in charge of that account. I'm not saying if you can get Heath Slater on us with us, we can pimp that show a little bit for you, but we could.
We absolutely could.
We absolutely could.
Yeah, we could.
And away we go with hour number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob, the Great Alonzo, on the ones and twos today. Be a part of the show. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone is open for you right now at 844-326-3663. That is 844-FANFONE. If you want to jump on the air live with us, you can also text us on the text line at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read it on the radio if it's good enough.
Yeah, if it's not good enough, you're probably not. You know, it's. I mean, look at it before you send it and go, "Is this good enough for the Rob Brown Show?" If not, don't do it.
I really want to read the text that's not to the Rob Brown Show, but that I got to read during the break. I'm going to.
I was going to say,
I'm gonna read it.
Like you're asking for permission or something. Go for it, dude.
I'm gonna read it. Somebody texted because we share a text line with our brother station, WORD. Somebody texted to that station, Stormy Daniels is really hoping for a hung jury. That's an objectively good text. All right. That's the quality that I expect of you guys on this show. All right.
Daddy, what does Mr. Rob mean? Why is he laughing?
Okay, kids, listen, a hung jury is when the jury can't reach a consensus agreement. Okay. It's very odd that, a witness would want a hung jury. So I don't know why adult film superstar Stormy Daniels would want a hung jury.
Would you stop doing your hands that way?
A hung jury, you know?
That wasn't what you were doing.
It's like
I don't even think you know what you were doing.
A hung jury. That's an objectively funny text. And I am very mad that the Armada has not hit me with a text that good this week. I need better. I need better out of all of you.
We're not talking about something like that. So, I mean, you know.
Doesn't matter. It's still great. If you texted that joke to me, it's still getting read on the air. That's phenomenal work. Phenomenal work. Hey, it is 7:02 in the morning. You are 57 minutes right now on the dot away from having to clock into work. And when it's time to clock into work and when it's time to, send a response to all of those passive aggressive emails that your boss fired off last night, it's only 9:15. Why aren't you working right now? Because I don't want to. I'm watching hockey. Boss, leave me alone. You can't say that. So you got to come in this morning and hit them with the old, really sorry, had my phone on the charger. Really sorry, wife needed some help last night or whatever, right? Once you get those emails fired off, go ahead and take that first break. Go ahead and take that first break. Walk down the hallway. Go find Joe. Joe works down in storage, right? So go grab Joe from storage. I want you to walk with Joe down to the water cooler. I want you to post up, set up shop, and you got to use that one little half a wall that juts out. You got to hide behind that so the boss doesn't see you.
Yeah, help Joe out because Joe's lonely down there in storage.
Yeah, man. Works that whole warehouse by himself.
He's overworked. No one down there to talk to.
Yeah. So go grab Joe. Be like, hey, man, let's go. What do you say we go catch a break? Grab your coffee. If you're not like me, or if you like me and you don't drink coffee, grab your Monster. If you're unlike me and don't need caffeine at all in the morning, you psychopath of a human being, grab your water from the water cooler. Let's talk sports. And if you're going to talk sports, you got to know what's going on in sports. And if you need to know what's going on in sports, you need to have this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
Most impressive.
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with Joe from storage. Warehouse management, I believe, is his actual title. All right. You get a title, you earn the title. That's why Lonzo is executive producer, not producer, executive. He's earned the title. Right?
Only one in the building.
Yeah. He didn't go to 4 years of executive producer school to be called Mr. Producer. You feel me? So go to warehouse management expert Joe, and let's talk sports. You got to start with item number 1. Item number 1 has been for about 3 weeks and will remain for probably another couple. You're home for playoff scores and results. Last night, just one game between the 2 leagues that share a playoff window, the National Hockey League and the National Basketball Association. The Edmonton Oilers have drawn level with the Dallas Stars out in the West with a 5-2 decisive victory yesterday over the Stars at home. Looked like it was going to be all Stars early in this contest because Wyatt Johnston scored his 9th playoff goal less than a minute into the first period. And then less than 5 minutes after that, Esa Lindell got his 3rd playoff goal off the helper from Miro Heiskanen. That made it 2-0 Stars. I was on the show. I'm like, uh-oh. Is Edmonton gonna blow this? They did not. Because Ryan McLeod and Evan Bouchard and Matthias Janmark and Leon Draisaitl and Matthias Ekholm all score back-to-back to not only claw back in this thing, they tied it up at the end of the first period at a deuce apiece. Edmonton got 2 more in the second. They added an empty netter with less than 2 minutes left to play in the third, and the Oilers strike back. It was a 5-3 Stars win in Game 3. Now a 5-2 Oilers win in Game 4. Game number 5 is tomorrow night back in Dallas, and the Stars will try to push the Oilers to the brink of elimination before Game 6 goes back to, Canada. and Edmonton on the 2nd of June. No NBA game last night because Boston destroyed what was left of the Indiana Sirs. I hate it so much.
It's really bad. I mean, you know, and
that's from Lonzo, who goes out of his way to defend my young Padawan Mario.
Well, because all executive producers stick together. It's an unwritten rule. We just know. But still, that's just bad, dude.
It's real bad. The Pacers get destroyed by Boston. So no game last night in the East as the Eastern Conference Finals was wrapped up a few nights ago by Beantown. Now they await the winner of the Western Conference Finals, which, as you all know, courtesy of a Minnesota Timberwolves win on the road at Dallas in game number 4, heads back to the Land O'Lakes tonight. And the only question is Derek Lively a go? The answer is we don't know yet. He was upgraded last night from doubtful to questionable. And the reports coming out of Dallas are that he is expected to play this evening. That is, to me, the key to the game. He is the variable between the Karl-Anthony Towns that showed up in game 4 and looked like Karl-Anthony Towns, and the Karl-Anthony Towns from games 1 through 3 that led me to label Karl-Anthony Towns the biggest disappointment of this postseason so far. Derek Lively was the only variable that I can empirically identify between games 1, 2, and 3 and game number 4. You had 2 games in Minnesota. Karl-Anthony Towns did not look good. Derek Lively played. You had 2 games in Dallas. Derek Lively played in one, did not play in the other. The one he did not play in is the only one that Karl-Anthony Towns actually looked like he knew what the hell he was doing. He is expected to be back tonight. He is listed as doubtful. If you are a gambling man, it's actually rambling man, but I changed it there, see, because it rhymes and that works.
Yeah, it wasn't even close to the tune though. So
trying to win some bets and doing the best I can.
Okay, that's better. Not good, but better than, yeah.
When it's time for wagering, hope you understand. Betting it all on the Mavs.
You are almost there.
I was right. What do you mean almost there? I have arrived. I am at the destination of Bangerville. Population me.
That's true. That last part. That's true.
That game is going tonight. It is again at Minnesota, and it tips at 8:30. Let's go to item numero dos. I don't know how many of you, if any of you, care about this story. I do because I think it has a dramatic impact on a lot that's going to happen in the NBA next year. It was made official yesterday that Bronny James, the son of LeBron James Jr., Bronny James, second of his name, will indeed enter the NBA draft next year. He has decided to forsake a second year in the college ranks, has decided he is moving on up to the association. Now, there's 2 reasons this is interesting. Number 1, Bronny James is he's okay. I mean, he's a good baller, but he's a 6 foot tall baller. He's point guard height playing shooting guard at the next level.
I think he's 6'1.5". He's like my height.
Yeah, he's 6'1.5" the way I'm 6'4". Like, okay, if you wear big shoes, if I got a pair of dress boots that got like a 1-inch heel on them, and it's not uncommon for me to throw those on with the blue suit, give myself 6'4", stand out a little bit. That's Bronny and his Nikes, I think.
Would you have been as tall as Damian Priest, though?
I wore those boots that day.
Did
no.
You?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I felt short that day. So anyway.
Yeah, I had those boots on that day, and no, I was not. You know who else is not as tall as Damian Priest? Bronny James. That's how you circle back around to the topic, kids. I'm very good at this. So Bronny James is indeed going to the draft. And I have said multiple times, including last night on the nationally syndicated BetMGM Tonight radio program, I have said a number of times, if he didn't have the name James across the back of that jersey, Bronny James is at the best a mid-second round selection at the NBA level. I watched a lot of his games last year at USC. And don't get me wrong, I got a lot of respect for Bronny James. You will all remember the heart issue that he had that caused him to go catatonic on the floor during a practice. My man battled back from that. He got right. He did all the things necessary. Granted, it's a lot easier to do that when your dad is LeBron James. But he got right, and he got himself back, and he's worked himself up to a spot where he garnered an invite to the NBA Combine, and he had, reportedly, as many as 22 NBA teams asking to meet, talk with him, and get a private workout in, which is a good number. A lot of guys in the first round may not get that number of teams interested.
It has nothing to do with LeBron being a free agent.
Sure does, said the great one, prognosticating exactly where I was going next. Here is the fun thing. Last night, we had on a Lakers beat reporter from Los Angeles, California, and we said, hey, is LeBron going, because he does have a player option with the Lakers this year, is LeBron going to enact his player option? And he said, the only thing that to me is a given about this entire situation is that LeBron will not enforce his player option. He will be a free agent. Now, the popular thought in LA right now is that he is going to do that because the Lakers have already said out loud, they have given the game away, we want to keep LeBron James, whatever is necessary to do so. If it's draft Bronny, if it's handing him the most lucrative contract in the history of the NBA, even as an almost 40-year-old man, is it hiring what's-his-face from ESPN to come over and be the coach? His podcast buddy, JJ Redick. Whatever it takes, we're going to make sure it happens to keep him in the fold, except for if he does not enforce his player option, and he does become a free agent, his agent, Rich Paul, can be on the phone with other teams. Now, LeBron has said that the comments he made not terribly long ago about wanting to play with his kid, he walked those back. He's like, hey, I wanted to do it, but it's not that big of a deal. Can we talk about the reality here? The reality is if LeBron James says that and he ends up on the same team with his kid, that team is not drafting Bronny James to develop Bronny James into a career NBA lifer. They drafted Bronny James to get LeBron. And it just happened to be that that's the price that they had to pay to do it. And I think LeBron is kind of protecting Bronny a little bit here. He wants LeBron James Jr. to get to the show and have an opportunity to be developed into a good NBA player. And if his recruitment and drafting is about his pops, that's less likely to happen. So I think what ends up happening here is LeBron says, nah, I was just kidding about that. So that the team that drafts Bronny because they want to make Bronny the best player they can. Except here's the thing. LeBron doesn't have to elect to sign with the team until after the NBA draft. Let me ask you this question, great one. If you're in charge of a mid-tier NBA team, let's say you are, the Cleveland Cavaliers general manager right now. And let's say your pick comes up somewhere around hypothetically 8. And let's say nobody selected Bronny James yet. Now, Bronny James is not a guy that's good enough to be the 8th overall selection in the NBA draft. However, LeBron James hasn't signed a contract with the LA Lakers yet. LeBron James is a free agent at that point. You drafting Bronny just in the off chase that LeBron James goes, yeah, I was just kidding about being just kidding. I do want to play with my kid. So C-Town, I'm coming home.
I think you absolutely do that. Plus, there's the fact that, not too long ago during a playoff game, LeBron just happened to be courtside. And I know, he has a house there and all that. All the more reason to bring him back. The end of his career, to end his career where he started.
And I'm not even saying I agree with all that for Cleveland's sake.
And you can do one legacy to another. I mean, there's just so many things that you can do with that. So, and Cleveland was fairly close this year. You throw a LeBron and a Bronny on there, who knows?
I'll tell you right now, if I'm Atlanta at number 1 overall, should Bronny James go number 1 overall? Hell no.
No.
Absolutely not. But Atlanta, since their run through the playoffs a couple of years ago, Atlanta fans have felt like the Hawks are pretty close, right? They got Ice Trae, although I think Ice Trae's on his way out unless something happens. If you're Atlanta, If you're Atlanta and you are thinking about this move right now, if you're Atlanta and you're sitting at number 1, are you maybe thinking, what if we go get Bronny? And LeBron and Rich Paul go, Jake, hey, we really did want to play with our boy. Jake, hey, we really did want to come on board. Jake, hey, I do want to play with my son 1 year. And Atlanta can make a call to LeBron, who's got all the money in the world, and go, look, man, here's the deal. We know you want to play with the kid. We got your kid. We think he fits in this offense. We need a power forward like you. We're going to give you an average NBA salary, but you will be in charge of your kid's development. You will help us develop Bronny. You will get to be helicopter dad. And when you're done, if you decide to retire with us, we'll immediately hire you on as a coach so that you can stay involved with Bronny. What if he goes for all of that? If he goes for all of that, if he buys in on that, maybe he's in Atlanta next year. Is it worth rolling the dice to take Bronny way ahead of where he should be taken for the off chance you get a 40-year-old LeBron James to come to town? Let's finish up with a very quick item number 3, and then we'll talk about it more on the flip side. According to Ross Dellinger, who is currently covering the SEC spring meetings down in Miramar Beach, Florida, my old stomping grounds, 38, baby. Nothing like it in the world. NCAA officials and conference athletics directors around the nation are considering allowing schools to begin selling their own corporate sponsorships in order to raise money that would go towards the $2.8+ billion back pay that the NCAA is responsible of, courtesy of the House v. NCAA settlement, and to utilize those sponsorships to raise money to put towards paying athletes moving forward. As of right now, the conversation is focused on potentially allowing schools to sell sponsorships that would then allow them to put corporate logos on the field of play, on the court of play, wherever they are playing. But the conversation has also started to move a little bit towards the possibility of allowing schools to put logos on patches on the jerseys of student athletes moving forward, meaning your favorite school may soon have a big old Love's Truck Stop logo on the side of that jersey. On one hand, I don't care. On the other hand, as much as I don't care, I despise the big yellow patch that's on the Braves jersey right now. I think it just doesn't match up, right? It's an interesting conversation, and we're going to talk more about it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, quick live when we're back. Stay right there for me. right. If anybody is watching and knows Brother Silas, do me a favor. Please apologize because I was half paying attention to the stream comments and I accidentally tossed him the block. It is only for this stream, though. So I want him back in the chat tomorrow. So if you're still watching and you know Brother Silas, please send the apology from Rob Brown and please tell him that I am interested in learning more about the mighty Dagon and the blue chipper case.
No, he's not. He's
very-
anti your faction. He did it on purpose. He obviously doesn't understand the greatness of the church.
I overreacted.
And so this is what he did.
I overreacted. All right. I was half paying attention. That is absolutely against the tenets of the church and Brother Silas. And I humbly apologize for my misgivings and misdeeds. I apologize for my sins against the church.
It's too late. It's too late.
I accept my Cersei treatment of shame, and I would like to make amends.
I think, some sort of elbow should be in play.
I am also going to say from this point forward, as of today, I rescind block responsibilities and privileges from the stream. Lonzo's in charge of that on his own now.
I already did
because
that.
I have made a massive mistake, and I am concerned about the penance that I will have demanded of me for it. Because I absolutely want wrestling factions going to war in my stream chat. Yes, I do.
Under a minute till we come back.
Yes. QC in the next break.
QC Kinetics in the next break. Got it.
Rejoin after this. Trey's vouching there.
Good. That would maybe Rob deserves a choke slam. That was for me. Yes. Stop asking. Just do it.
I'm not going to get too into it right now because I have a feeling that it's going to get better and grow. But there is a professional wrestling faction, a local indie professional wrestling faction that has entered the stream chat right now. And I want you to know, I don't think I've ever wanted anything in the world than for my stream chat to become a promo bulletin board for local professional wrestling figures. I want that to happen.
All right, here's the thing. You're about to issue an apology. You issued it on the stream, and it's too late. I mean, it is too late. You obviously are now an enemy of the church, which is what you need to be, an enemy of the church. And I hope all members of the church realize that Rob Brown is not your friend. He is not.
We had
you should bring down I don't know what your special move is. Hopefully it's like the hammer of God or something like that. It should come down and smite Rob Brown right now.
I would like to apologize to Brother Silas for the mistake that was made
He
in
can't
the
hear
stream
you.
chat.
You blocked him.
No. He can still read the messages and hear the stream.
Okay.
He's still there.
Okay.
He can still hear and read,
maybe,
etc.
Maybe.
Brother Silas, you may text the show at 71307 and I would like to learn more. I would like to learn more and also apologize for my misgivings
It's too late.
in the chat.
It's too late. I can't believe you.
Ross Dellinger's down in Miramar Beach, Florida. That's where I grew up. Beautiful place, Miramar Beach. If you ever get the chance to go down there, it's one of the best beaches. All those shots that have been popping up on the ESPN of all the talking heads covering the SEC meetings, and they're down on their sugar white sand beaches in front of the emerald green water. That's where I grew up. That's the beach I grew up on. Best beaches in the continental United States, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, that's why the SEC holds their spring meetings down there every year. That is happening right now as we speak. And from said spring meetings, Ross Dellinger is reporting, as we told you during the water cooler cheat sheet, in the last segment that it is being discussed right now, potentially allowing in the future colleges, universities, athletic departments to sell corporate sponsorships and place the logo of those sponsors onto the field in which their athletics departments compete. So on the football fields, potentially on the basketball courts, maybe in the bottom of the pool for the old swimming and diving competitions, right? Maybe on some big banners that are across the finish line of a track and field or cross-country meet, whatever the case might be. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. It is secondary revenue streams for these colleges and universities, and let's go ahead and keep it a buck as the kids play. You got to have them now. You got to have them. The expenditures for athletic departments are going through the roof right now. It's partially because of the settlement that has taken place in the House v. NCAA court case, a settlement of north of $2.7 billion that is going to be split up, and every school under the NCAA banner is going to be responsible for some portion of that settlement revenue. You have got the new revenue split plan, which is going into place because of this settlement, which means that of the percentage of the money that each school receives in revenue, some of that can be spread down to the athletes. And while I know that some of these payment plans to athletes are optional to the school, they're not really optional for the big schools, right? Like they're optional the way that NFL voluntary workouts are optional. Like, yeah, it's optional. For sure. In name and practice, it's optional. Great one. I don't know if you guys had optional practices when you were in high school. I did when I was, and I will tell you right now, they were absolutely optional. They were absolutely voluntary. And you better volunteer or else you weren't playing when the season rolled around.
Yeah, the thing about that, if they're so voluntary, why do they take attendance? That's all I'm saying.
Because they're not voluntary, right? So I'm very interested in this. I'm interested because, like I said, schools are going to have to start finding secondary revenue streams. This is potentially one of them. I don't know what unique and creative ways there are to do so. I'll give you one that I think, and some schools I'm sure already do this, but I'll give you one right now. You ready for the freebie? Clemson, you ready for the freebie? South Carolina, here's the freebie that I'm going to hand to you right now. I'm about to make you $1 million. Sell background tours to your stadium right now. Sell background tours to Willie B. Sell background tours to veterans. Sell background tours. Go ahead and charge $250. And for $250, you get to go back. You get to go see the locker room. You get to go see the facilities. You get to go behind the scenes in the stadium. You get to walk out to the 50 and get your picture made at Willie B or in Death Valley. Go ahead and do it, right? I'll tell you right now, I know right now in my life probably a dozen from each school that for $250 and they got to go in the locker room. Maybe you let them like put on some shoulder pads and a jersey and take a picture like they're a recruit. You do some fun stuff like that. Why do I say that?
You got to throw in the cockaboos too. I mean, you can't do all that without the cockaboo.
You do whatever you want. Make it as elite and incredible as you can. Hell, make like different levels, right? One is a field level. $50, you get to go out on the field, take a picture at the 50. For $100, you get to put on a player jersey and do it. For $150, one of the players will go out there and 50 of those dollars go to that player for NIL. For $200, you get to go see the locker room. For $300, you get to see the locker room and the facilities. For $500, you get the locker room, the facilities, a picture on the 50 with the player, and you get to go tour Cockaboos. Whatever, you can make levels. The point is, these are the kinds of things that over the next few years, colleges are going to start doing because secondary income has just become the priority for athletic departments. You want to know why it is that ADs right now are sitting here thinking, you know, the sanctity of the field. How many times have we said, whether it's the NFL or college ball, at the end of the day, it does not matter what happens from midnight Saturday night until midnight the next Saturday during football season. The only thing that matters is for 3.5 hours on a Saturday afternoon, right? And during that 3.5 hours, football is sacred. During that 3.5 hours, what happens from sideline to sideline, goal line to goal line, what happens in that green grid it's not touchable. Here's the thing. It's still not. I don't care if you paint the field blue. I don't care if you paint it red. I don't care if the entire field is an Arby's logo. It's still football. It's still getting played. It's still the same game. I don't care if, the Ohio State University, much like the Cleveland Cavaliers, have a big yellow Love's Truck Stop badge on their jersey next year. Is that going to change who the Buckeyes are and how they play football? No, not at all. I don't care if the Auburn War Eagle Tigers have a Buc-ee's logo right there on the logo. Is it going to change the way they play football? No, it's not. I don't care if the Tennessee Volunteers have a logo for whatever moonshine brand they're hawking right now. Is it going to change the way the Volunteers play football? No, I don't care. None of that change. The game's not going to change. But the secondary focal point of athletic departments is, and college football is going to, starting in 2024, look a lot more corporate than it ever has before. Welcome to the new age of football, baby. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show with a Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, one more live read. I'm coming right back. Stay right there.
What?
And Jacob, it is me. Good to hear from you, sir. You have found
Jacob, huh?
the J-Man. You have found it.
I have been forgiven by Brother Silas.
Yeah, I saw
My
that. But
transgressions-
he does not deserve your forgiveness.
My transgressions.
He deserves your wrath.
have been
That's what he
forgiven.
deserves. Though none of us know what kind of church it is. So, I mean, you know.
I know it's the kind of church that responds to a mistake by feeding its aggressors to the monster Malach.
Yeah, which is where he needs to go.
Here we go.
If it's Malik, it's probably a certain kind of church that maybe, you know, just saying.
I might want to join.
Maybe. Pagan.
General question, and I don't know how to answer this question. I don't know what the answer is, but I will pose it anyway. As far as the changes that are being implemented in college football, and you can cite NIL or the portal. First off, I'm going to ask this, and I want you to look at the man in the mirror, and I want you to be honest with yourself, and I want you to be honest with me. Were you one of the people during the initiation of the transfer portal, during the initiation of name, image, and likeness regulations, rules, and allowances? Were you one of the people that said, it's the Wild West, I don't recognize college football anymore, I'm out? How many of you said you're done with football after with college football after one of the changes that were implemented over the past few years? And did you make a change? I know to some degree, fair or not, rude or not, I have mocked people in the past for saying things like that because I don't believe them. And I don't believe them because historical precedent is that they don't go anywhere. People were leaving the NFL in hordes when Colin Kaepernick took a knee. Yeah, the ratings went up. No, you didn't. People were leaving the NFL in hordes over, what was the other big controversy everybody was going to leave for? I don't remember. It wasn't just Cap. He kind of started the kneeling thing. But there were all these different reasons over the past few years that people were going to leave the NFL.
I think it still had to do with the national anthem.
Okay. There was that. I thought there was one more that I'm just blanking on. Doesn't matter.
Maybe it was the writings on the back of the helmet.
Maybe I think that was one. I know the NBA, there were a lot of people who threatened to leave the NBA because the NBA started allowing players to, wear the Black Lives Matter messaging and they put it, I mean, they set it on the baseline, right? Set it on the baseline of basketball courts, especially it started during the bubble and then to some degree has carried over into the seasons after the bubble. There were all these people, I'm never watching again, except the ratings of every single one of those sports has at least maintained or gone up in most cases. So historically, I don't believe you.
When this all started, near the beginning of this radio station or whenever it was, I said to the host at the time, this is free agency. Oh, no, you're crazy. This is not going to be. I was like, this is the beginning of this whole thing. Am I against it? I mean, it's just the evolution of the game. I just wanted people from the beginning to say, hey, the players are being paid and they're employees. That's still my thing. Other than that, I'm not surprised the game has changed the way that it has.
I will respond to that by saying you were not right then. You are now, though, right? You were not right then.
No.
But you are now.
I didn't say it was right now. I said this is what it's going to lead to.
Sure.
Maybe I didn't word it the right way earlier when I was speaking.
Yeah. I think, and you and I have had this conversation many times, obviously. I think you were going down the path of let's call them employees. They're being paid before I was willing to agree with your definition. I wasn't then. We had butted heads a lot about it. I am now. Absolutely. When revenue sharing goes into effect and this money is allowed to go directly from the school to the player, I am totally fine and on board with saying they are paid and they are employees. I also don't care, right? So I will start this by saying, how many of y'all, if any, and I'm going to go no, and let's be real, this is a question on this station and on this show that is going to have a problem with its sample size, because realistically speaking, if you truly did leave college football because of the portal and NIL, and it's not my college football anymore, and you walked away, you probably walked away from sports radio at large, right? I mean, maybe you stuck around, like maybe you're one of those college football fans that does also love the NBA or love the NHL or the NFL or whatever.
Or maybe you love just listening to a two-time SCBA Star Award winning program.
Maybe.
Yeah. You like the personalities, maybe not the sport anymore.
But there's a very good chance that if you walked away from the sport, you considered yourself, maybe you were, I'll give you the credit, hurt by the sport. And, that element of your life maybe doesn't play the role that it used to. I still don't think that there's all that many people that left. But is there going to be a different feel to the game? If this year, opening day, Labor Day weekend, we got football games starting on Thursday night. We got games Friday, we got games Saturday, we got games Sunday, we got games that next Monday. We got games ranging from Dublin, Ireland to Los Angeles, California for 5 days. And it is not just one of the biggest weekends to us as folks, for us here at the Radio Ranch. It's one of the biggest weekends of the year for us as radio dudes. It's one of the biggest weeks for our folks downstairs that are in sales on this radio station. It's a huge week. We'll be watching all the football. It's on my calendar. That weekend is annually on my calendar for the fiance. Do not ask me to do anything Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday nights. I'm out, I'm booked, right? Is there a spot somewhere? Could you tell me something that would happen in the world of college football that you can honestly say you would walk away from? Because I saw people last night saying on the internet, if I tune in on opening day this year, and instead of the tiger paw at the 50, there's a big logo for Duke's Mayo, I'm out. It won't be the same vibe. I don't know.
That's a bad example.
Why? Because everybody loves Duke's Mayo? I agree.
Because, the cult would be like okay with it. So it would be all right.
If you tuned in to, I don't know, here you go, I'll give you one in the middle. If I tuned in to watch on opening weekend, Alabama versus Western Kentucky. If you're watching Alabama v. Western Kentucky, that's just because you're hard up for football, right? You just need football, and you're willing to watch a team get murdered.
Is that like drug injection?
Yes.
Is that what you? Okay,
yes.
All right.
That's exactly what I was doing.
I was trying to help the stream out. They were curious.
That means that you are just having football withdrawal, which is
maybe you're a Hilltoppers fan.
Maybe so.
It's possible.
Crimson Tiders are going to watch it. But if you're not a Crimson Tider and you're not a Hilltopper and you're tuning in to watch Alabama Western Kentucky, you're tuning in because you're just jonesing for the ball. And I get it. I understand that. If I tune into that game and I look over and I see at midfield, and I'm saying midfield, I don't think a school is going to give up their midfield logo. I'm using it for the sake of being very dramatic here. But let's say hypothetically at midfield, there is not the big script A this year. Instead, at midfield is the big V logo for Vulcan Materials, one of the largest companies in the state of Alabama. Or the Drummond Company, one of the largest companies in Alabama. Would that change it? Would it feel like not college football enough in a way that you would go, it's lost its charm? Is there a spot somewhere that college sports would lose its charm to you? Because I think that was the argument of folks about the portal, about folks about NIL. It has lost what made it charming over the years. But what I have said is that charm of college athletics over the years was a forced illusion in the land of college sports. These kids are not any more loyal or any less loyal to your program today than they were years ago. They're just not obligated to stick it out even if they hate it like they were years ago. It was a forced delusion. Everybody that's here loves being a Crimson Tider. I can tell you for a fact that is not true. I can tell you for a fact, pre-transfer portal, I know, I can say for a fact, there was at least one member of the Alabama Crimson Tide who got there, played his undergraduate, realized after 1 year that he was never going to be a premier player and wanted to go somewhere else and play. But he locked in on a contract, on a scholarship when he was 17 years old, and the option wasn't really on the table for him.
I will always disagree with you about the loyalty thing. And I think the loyalty more so affects a fandom than it does the actual player. And it's always going to be there more than likely.
Oh, wait. Let's be real clear. I agree with you on that entirely. Fans' loyalty is not going anywhere. But it is to me.
But they will question the loyalty of the player, which I completely get. I do have a quick question with the new NCAA football game coming out. Will transfers automatically be changed on teams?
I don't know if they'll do the update. I do know that as far as like the dynasty mode, that's absolutely part of it. The
Is it
transfer
really?
portal is absolutely part of the game.
So, I mean,
as is NIL from what I understand.
In real life, if someone transfers, will they automatically be put on another team in the game if you're online?
I'm assuming so. Right?
Okay.
Because Madden does that right now. Or yeah, I think Madden does that now. Like you can play a Madden game that's 3-4 years old because the roster automatically updates. But I want to go back to what you were saying just a second ago about the fan loyalty versus player loyalty. Yes, you as a fan are loyal. Just like the NFL. It's a business. Just like the NFL. They rely on the loyalty of fans. No matter what happens, I'm a Saints fan. If every one of my favorite players from the New Orleans Saints all decided as a group, we hate you, Dennis Allen, and we are leaving, and they all went somewhere else, I would still be a Saints fan, right? That's not going anywhere. College football fans are the same way. It's just that the players are different now because kids who all the time, you guys hear it every year. Kid grew up a Gamecock fan, but he got an offer from Clemson, and he went, you know what? Clemson is just going to help me develop as a football player better. I'm going to go there.
All right, hold on. You could use a different example. That's never happened.
Yeah, no, it's happened since I've been here. It absolutely has. Like your rivalry is not special. It's special to you. It's not special to anybody else. Kids all the time. I guarantee you, there's a kid on Michigan's roster who grew up a Buckeye and a kid on a Buckeye roster who grew up a Wolverine. Promise you. Because they looked and they went, this coach, this culture, this compensation is going to help me in my life better. And that's where I got to go, even if it's not where my loyalty lied.
You know, stop with all that blasphemy. That never happened.
It is blasphemy to the fans. It is a reality to the players. Loyalty is a fan concept, not a player concept. But as far as the changes that are being discussed right now, if you are looking at college football, can you tell me what line in the sand you have that would drive you away? What line in the sand could college football cross that you would genuinely have to walk away from the sport? Because I got to tell you, I'm watching these changes, and I've asked that question of myself really the last 48 hours because we're getting all these news and notes about what's going to change as far as the salary cap or the scholarship cap or the revenue split process or the back pay. And there's all these massive changes. And now we're finding out about some of the plans that schools are coming up with, athletic departments are coming up with in order to make those changes. And they're big changes. And none of those have driven me away yet. None of those have driven me away. I don't know what the line in the sand is, but I got a lot of you guys that text me all the time and go, I'm done with it. Okay, where is the spot where that's true? Because the ratings say we haven't hit it yet. We got to run to a break. When we come back, end of the next hour, Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast joins us to talk Carolina Panther football. Then at 9:20, Fight Club with the great Malonzo walks us through the world of MMA, boxing, and professional wrestling. It's all coming up later on in the show. Before we get there, we have a sports flash to do with the great one, Lonzo. That's coming up next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about our friends at New Life Weight Loss. I'm a big fan. I'm a smaller fan now, though. You get it? Because I was kind of fat. Now I'm less of that. So I'm a smaller because of New Life Weight Loss, of which I am a big fan. And I'll tell you why I am a big fan. I'm a big fan because the first time I sat down with New Life and they said, all right, look, you know you got to make changes, right? You know you got to eat healthier. You know you got to eat smaller portions. Like, you know some of the things you got to do. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not that easy. And they said, let us help. And they have. They not only have helped me get a better grasp on what I can eat, what I should eat, how to eat healthy, but more importantly, they look at you as a human being. I've gone with a lot of weight loss plans before, and a lot of the times what people do, they just see you as a scale number. In order for us to say you're successful, you're this number, we need you this number, and nothing else matters. With New Life, they care about you, the person. They care about you, the human being. So they want to work together to make a plan that fits into your life, into your schedule, into the way that you operate on the daily. But they also want to teach you to recognize the way that you eat, your relationship with food, and choose to be more healthy, be more nutrition-wise, while still making sure you're fulfilled with your life. Because some of us really like food, right, me? Yeah, that's right. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to mynewlifeweightloss.com, mynewlifeweightloss.com, or give them a call right now at 864-686-5820, 864-686-5820, and schedule your free consultation with a weight loss specialist today with our friends at New Life Weight Loss.
In the NBA, Dallas Mavericks big man Derek Lively was upgraded to questionable last night, but reports say he is trending towards playing in Dallas's Game 5 against Minnesota tonight. Lively missed Game 4 with a neck sprain after taking a knee to the back of the head from Timberwolves center Rudy Gobert in Game 4. Dallas and Minnesota tip tonight at 8:30 with Dallas holding a 3-1 series lead. The 49ers haven't signed Brandon Ayuk, but they shored up the wide receiver room yesterday, signing wide receiver Juwan Jennings to a deal through 2025. Jennings had 4 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown in last year's Super Bowl. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and I am told a whole lot of fun. It's all Wire to Wire. All right, hit stop and get the next one started.
Where's me cursor? There's me cursor.
So pretty solid delays. I would say it's heavy back beyond Woodruff Road. South on I-85 delays there. South on Highway 101 moving down towards Pelham Road. And construction I-26 both sides between mile marker 7 and mile marker 8. From the News Talk 98.9.
It was around 15 this morning on my way in.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend.
Getting on the interstate. Boom! There she yellow cone. Right?
Okay, now we need to look and see how much time we have.
58. Or
Don't stop questioning me. You count. I'm not really here, so you.
I think he's going to be like.
You're doing it wrong. Again, all right. You take it from the time it is now. So this spot will end at 58:19. Now add the next thing onto it.
33. 47. It's the top of the hour.
No, that would be you just add another minute, so it'll be 59:47, which would take us pretty close. So you can get rid of that promo. The promo. What don't? Yeah, the promo. There you go.
This one?
Yes. If it's green, it's probably not a promo. And you should go ahead and have a bed ready in too.
Sorry about that.
Stop apologizing. Don't get in your head. Have you done anything wrong yet? No, because if you did, I would tell you. You can decide if you want to start editing on that on the last hour, or you want to wait till the end. It doesn't matter. If you're more concerned with running the board, I'm fine. with
Yeah,
that.
I'm gonna
Okay.
tackle this.
Okay.
I can save this part though. While y'all, like once that segment starts, I'll at least.
That's
save it.
what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you reach Silver Key status, you can get free standard shipping because Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Learn more about our new
Brother Beamer.
I love that. His comment before made me laugh too. About the Archangel. Read open coming up.
Beautiful.
10.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Here we go. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Radio program. It is the Fan Upstate Spectacular, as always, to have you here with us this time on a lovely, bright and shining Thursday morning. We got Rashad Beard coming up here in about 40 minutes from right now to talk a little Carolina Panther football with us as OTAs have gotten underway around the country. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up on the show. We have Rashad Beard at 8:40 and 9:20. Fight Club with the great Lonzo, where we talk about boxing, MMA, and professional wrestling. We do now have a date for the rematch between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. That fight is going to take place in Saudi Arabia once again, this time in December, where Tyson Fury will try to recapture the undisputed heavyweight championship from Alexander Usyk, who knocked him down a couple of weeks ago and took a split decision win. That should not have been split decision, but that's another conversation for another time. Spartanburg J texts the show, said, morning, guys. Where can I apply for the president of college football 52-team super conference position? Unless you're Greg Sankey, I could do better than what we have right now. Great show this morning. Jay, appreciate that text, bud. I have not seen it open up on Indeed yet. I'll let you know when it does. Because I'm going to go ahead and also apply for the. Actually, I'm really not, because I'm going to tell you right now. Listening to Greg Sankey speak, these guys genuinely, and this isn't even me poking fun or having a laugh or whatever. They genuinely have no idea what is coming up next. They have no idea what is about to happen, because the legal aspects of the settlement are not settled. As we have talked about on this show, I called this shot a couple of weeks ago when the settlement was first being discussed. We got to figure out what the Title IX implications are before we do anything. We got to figure out how money is going to be taken from the smaller schools. We got to figure out what happens to the non-revenue schools and sports, right? What happens to the schools in the Big
You can
East?
do all that, right? I mean, that's not that.
Lonzo,
not
I
that
can't
hard.
balance my own friggin' checkbook. All right, now you want me to get involved in a $2.78 billion estimate?
You've
I'm good.
You've got 37 jobs. You got room for 38. Why not?
Let me tell you what happens. This is an observation I've made. In the world, there's two groups of people. There are the group of people who are very good at adulting, and then there's the people that are not.
And we're all in radio.
We're all in radio. You can go ahead and guess what side of that division people like us land on, all right? And Lonzo and I are living proof of this. Every person who is bad at adulting, we all marry someone who's good at it.
Well, yeah. I mean, we need someone to manage our talent.
Yes.
That's what I'm going with.
Yes. The talent acquisition of Rob Brown and the great one Lonzo were to get involved with and commit our lives to women who have their bleep together.
Also known as the boss.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah.
Yes. Like it used to be. I used to make fun of the bros when I'm like, hey, dude, you want to go golf? And they're like, let me talk to the boss. And I'd be like, you big wuss, you big Nancy. Take the stones out of her purse. And now I'm like, no, I'm good with that because I didn't realize what it actually means is she makes sure that my schedule is not a piece of when she puts it all together for me. So it is less, let me see if I have permission from her. And it is more, let me make sure that I didn't already commit to something that I, a dumb person, have already forgotten about.
Yeah, Rob, well known to double and triple book time slots. So.
And still figure out how to make it work, by the way.
Okay.
All right. Still figure out how to make it work. Anyway, the point here is there are some people that have their together and there are people who do not have their together, and I do not have my together. I want no part of having to figure this whole thing out. I will also tell you that it's not even really like Sankey and Tony Petiti and the rest of the gang have a ton to figure out. They have staffs of lawyers who are getting paid a lot of money for this, right? But we have talked about how some of the different decision-making processes are going to go. For instance, the concept of getting rid of scholarship limits for schools. You may offer as many scholarships as you want, and instead instituting NCAA-wide roster limits. We talked about this conversation yesterday. I won't go too deep back into it, but basically what's being said is because of NIL, schools like Michigan, schools like Georgia, there are effectively no limitations on the rosters of those schools right now, right? Because they get so much NIL money pledged to the schools that they can go to guys that are walk-ons. I told you the story of Cam Good, who is a tackle for Michigan, transferred up from UCF as a grad student, not one of those dirty, filthy undergraduate transfers, but a full-on grad transfer who went to Michigan on scholarship, won a national championship last year, and then at the beginning of the offseason was asked by Michigan to give up his scholarship so that they could give it to another player because, again, they had hit their scholarship cap, right? And so they were able to get him to agree to do it. Why? Because the NIL collective there in Ann Arbor had already put together a deal that exceeded, an NIL deal that exceeded the value of his scholarship as a whole. And so it was perfectly justified for Cam Good. He came out, he said, look, I'm not a selfish person, and I want my team to win. I want my team to be as good as possible. And if coach says, hey, you giving up your scholarship so we can get this young guy in here that we think we can develop to be a great player. And on top of that, I was getting a call from the NIL collective saying, hey, we worked you up a name, image, and likeness deal that is to the value of your scholarship. Michigan now has two top-notch scholarship caliber players without going over the scholarship limit. And if you're a smaller school, what's that mean? It means schools like Michigan and Georgia can hoard a lot of the players. Because even if some of those guys aren't going to play, maybe they want a chance at Georgia more than they want to go down to Boise State and play. And so Boise State is watching Michigan and Penn State and Ohio State hoard all of the most talented players out of Big Ten country, and they gotta scrape to get enough guys to fill up their scholarship limit. So the smaller schools are going, put a cap on the number of players. You can hand out all 95, and the number is 85 right now. I suspect if we go roster limitation, that number will go up. So let's say 95 for the sake of the discussion. You can absolutely put 95 players on your roster if you elect to do so. And you can absolutely give all 95 a scholarship, but leave some talent for the rest of us, right? But now, according to Ross Dellinger, at the SEC meetings, all of the coaches down there have gotten together and said, we're going to go to Greg Sankey and we're going to tell him that we want to be able to have walk-on players, which means they are against a roster cap in football. We want walk-ons. And there's a good reason for it. A lot of positions on a football field, long snapper, kicker, punter, a lot of positions I'm not going to say on all, but on a lot of teams, a lot of those positions are filled by walk-on players, by non-scholarship players, by guys who are willing to pay their way for school just so they can also play football at the highest level that they can play at. And the SEC coaches are saying, no, we want to be able to keep those guys. We want to be able to keep those guys, while the small schools are saying you should not be able to have 50 guys on your roster that are never going to see the football field when we're down here struggling for talent. And the big schools are going, yeah, we can put NIL deals together for those guys, right? We can go to Bob's Used Cars and we can say, hey, Bob, these are the guys that we need NIL money for. And we can come up with enough NIL money that would effectively replace a scholarship for a non-scholarship player. And that brings us to the concept of the corporate sponsorship. The corporate sponsorship would be obviously sponsorship money that is paid directly to the school itself, sponsorship money that the school could then go ahead and immediately turn around and give back to the players as part of the revenue split, or as part of whatever direct payment plan it is that they ultimately end up working out. So it's gonna look different. It's gonna look different. I don't know how much further it goes. We talked about the corporate logos at midfield, and again, I don't think I'm not going to say zero, but I don't think many schools are going to replace their school logo with the 50. But there's a lot of green grass out there that you can put some spray paint down on. You know what I'm saying?
What about the first line, first down marker?
Sure.
I mean, they could put that digitally. It could be along the line of the first down.
Yeah. Is it hockey? I think during the regular season, maybe it's soccer. I don't know. One of the sports has what is effectively an offsides marker, and where like the NFL has the yellow line that goes across the field, they have a line, and you know what's inside that line that goes across? It's like Geico, and it's just written 100 times, right? So that line is actually the Geico whatever line.
Right.
NASCAR has the Geico. Geico's really killing the sports game right now.
Big on the show today for sure.
Yeah. Geico's got the Geico restart zone in NASCAR. And so every time that there is a restart in NASCAR, because they don't start when they hit the line, there is a restart zone well before the start finish line on the racetrack. And cars are not allowed to accelerate on the restart until they are inside of a particular zone that is painted out on the track. But when you watch on TV, they highlight that section of the track and they put the big Geico, the gecko face on there, and it says the Geico restart zone. And
okay, so it's not Flo walking out and telling them to go. Okay,
no, that would be hilarious. But it's like the Geico lizard, and it's like the big face of the lizard right there, and it says Geico restart zone. And every time that there's a restart in a NASCAR race, Geico gets whatever. There's all these different things that can be sponsored. There's all these different things that schools could sell within the game. And by the way, because I got asked yesterday when we got off the show, well, Rob, if you're talking about digital ads down on the field, if you're talking about projected advertisements, wouldn't that go through the television networks? And the answer is yes. I am not sure. But on my very loose understanding, one of the things that would happen there is obviously they would have to get permission from the schools. The schools would have to sign off on the advertisers because they may not want Jameson whiskey to be promoted on their field, right? I'm pretty sure BYU isn't going to be good with them throwing a Doers ad down there on the field during a Storm and Mormons game. But if that is the case, you know what that does for the schools? That allows them to go back the next time those TV contracts go up and go, we'd like to see how much direct revenue you made by advertising your ads on our field during games, and we'd like to increase the worth of our TV deal moving forward by that much, paying more money in the pocket of the schools. There's going to be a lot of changes. And we can sit here and probably will moving forward, coming up with all these different ways that there will be changes we can talk about. Jersey patches on the uniform, right? Jersey patches on the uniform. And we've already got a texter who wrote in a little while ago. He said, Rob, I can tell you one college program that will not have logos on their uniforms. Their helmets are on the field for corporations. Notre Dame, that's why they're independent. They have enough funding internally to not have to sell out their tradition to the corporate dollar. What about when Notre Dame's athletic department budget falls by 10% because that money's got to go to the players? And what about when they decide that in order to keep up with the other big schools, they've got to set aside a $22 million trust fund a year? You're talking about $22 million a year out of the budget. What if tomorrow, let's pick a classy organization. What if tomorrow a company like Chevrolet.
He meant no slight to you, Geico.
Yeah, no slight to Geico. What if a company like Chevrolet came to Notre Dame and said, you know what? We don't want the name Chevrolet on your jersey. We don't want anything on your jersey except the little Chevy
symbol,
compressed cross or whatever it is, right?
Symbol thing, yeah.
That's all we want. We want a 2 by 1 inch patch of the Chevy logo. No name, no words, no nothing. Just that little Chevy. It's not a chevron, whatever that signal sign thing is called. We want a little 2 by 1 patch of that logo on your players' shoulder pads this year. And in return for that, because we know you're Notre Dame, we know you're one of the most watched college football teams in America. We know you're one of the most followed. And we know that Marcus Freeman has got you guys in a position where you're considered a playoff candidate this year. You know how you're losing $22 million a year out of your athletics department budget this year? We'll give you $22 million. Drop in the bucket for Chevrolet, right? Drop in the bucket.
By the way,
we will give you $22 million to just, not the word, just the logo on your shoulder. I'm going to tell you, Notre Dame can be as high and mighty and nose in the air as they want to be, but if they got a chance in the stroke of one check to make up the full $22 million, I think they'd be lunatics not to take it.
I don't think it would look that bad. By the way, it's the symbol of winners. I mean, you wouldn't do that with a Ford or something like that.
Sir, I don't need your car brand supremacy on the show right now. All right.
Notre Dame does, though.
I got enough supremacy with the Notre Dame fans out here talking right now. So the point is, like, yeah, there's all these things that we can say, this would never, I would never, they would never. Here's the reality. There's no never out there that is available if there's a paycheck attached to it. I've said it a few times, and I'm going to get away from this because I'm frankly kind of tired and bored of it. So I know you guys have got to be as well. There is nothing sacred in this sport that won't be changed if the dollar sign next to it is attached enough. That's how we got to NIL. That's how we got to the portal. That's how we got to every decision that's been made. There are two reasons that something changes within the land of sports. Number one, money. Number two, a lawsuit. That's it. That's it. Number one, money. Number two, a lawsuit. The lawsuit's already happened. Now we'll see how the money coming in, or in this case, going out, continues to change the college football landscape as we know it. All right, we'll get away from this when we come back here in just a minute. Got a few NFL news and notes and discussions I want to get to. We'll get to that Chuck Barkley WNBA debate I was talking about earlier. And at the end of this hour, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us to talk Carolina football. It's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Hit it again. All right, so there was a set mode stuck in there.
Okay.
So
I saw the two things on my
yeah, which I wanted you to see what happens if you click it and that set mode is there. So the music was playing, so there was no dead air. But that's why. And quit looking like you're hammering a nail every time you push the button.
I'm sorry.
So it's just,
I'm sorry.
the keys are not waiting.
Or the old Chevy bow tie.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I didn't
You're good.
know the thing was in.
Be right back, guys.
Your brother Silas hold court.
By the way, if something shows up on the stream that's not talking about what we're talking about
Yeah.
when we're on the air, yeah. I mean, we'll usually get to it off the air. Man, I could have went with the Knuckles thing
Rule
for at
number
least 5
one.
more minutes, and you just had to break.
Unfortunately, I have a pictographic vivid imagination. I like see images. In
Oh,
my
I see
head,
it
right?
now. I see it now. I'm still not breaking now. Not till later. Good straight man never breaks. All right, on occasion.
Ba-na-na-na. Ba-da-dun-dun-dun. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-da-da-da-da.
You don't need to worry about counting there. The only time you need to count is at the top of the hour.
Da-na-na-na-na.
There is no show that you will produce on either station where you do not have to time into the top of the hour. So learn how to, and they never tell you that math is involved, but math is very much involved.
Which is why I sit over here.
But he's been over here and had to do the addition himself. But I always know when the popcorn's done, and I don't have to wait till the beat. That's all I'm saying.
You got wire to wire 30 and then a reach.
Yeah, he doesn't even know that. He doesn't, because he's already forgot. New Life, next break.
New Life, next break. Remind me to tell you about that when we get to our next stopping point.
What about what Steven just said? Steven wants to know if he pronounced Rocky Balboa.
Nope.
By the way, it's a work, guys.
It is now.
It's
It's his gimmick now.
Yeah.
I gave him another gimmick. So we've got OTAs underway around the National Football League, and we are
Yay.
starting to see. Dude, I'll take what the hell I can get right now, okay?
Oh no, it's genuine excitement. I just don't have access to my button right now because I'm training. So
Here, I'll play one for you.
My loins have been tingling.
There you go.
That would have been my second choice for sure.
I figured. We got OTAs going on right now. We are starting to get our first comprehensive looks at NFL teams as we get prepared for the NFL season upcoming. We are, I believe, as of today, 97 days away from the beginning of the NFL regular season, which also means that we are less than that away from the preseason. So, OTAs taking place. We're starting to see some of the teams, specifically the ones with new quarterbacks. Denver behind Bo Nix, Caleb Williams in Chicago, Bryce Young in Carolina, rookie quarterbacks around the league that are starting to shape up around their offense. So, yesterday evening, I get these from BetMGM. I get these odd sheets. They send me every day a list of odd sheets, predominantly ones that stand out to them for some reason, like there's an influx of money that's come in, or they got some behind the scenes info that made them change lines or whatever. It's more prep for my BetQL work, but I do think there are some very interesting stories that can be gained based on what we are seeing coming out of Vegas. Yesterday, great one, I got a bet sheet from BetMGM with the odds of the first, or I should say, I guess, next NFL head coach to be fired. Would you like to take a stab and see how many of the top 5 NFL coaches in terms of odds to be fired next you can come up with off the top of your head? Because I got 4 of them.
Yeah, I think the really bad teams, I probably don't know the names of the coaches, but I know who you would like to be number 1 on the list.
Who's that?
That would be Dennis Allen.
He is number 4.
Okay. Let's see. Nobody else in the South, I don't think.
Nope.
Yeah.
I will give you a division. I will give you a division that has 2. It is the NFC East.
Okay, so the Giants coach?
He is at
Stable.
number
It's stable.
6, as a matter of fact. So if you go top 6, 3 coaches in the NFC East.
The NFC East is so bad. Dallas is in that, aren't they?
Mike McCarthy is
Yes.
one of them. Mike McCarthy, as a matter of fact, is number 3 on the list.
Wow. And it can't be Philadelphia.
It absolutely is. Nick
Really?
Sirianni is number 5 on the list. Now, he is 10-1. The top 7, sorry, I said 6. The top 7.
Who was number 1, by the way? You didn't.
Robert Salah of the New York Jets.
Yeah. It's all going to stem on whether someone's leg is really healed or not.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So here are, from 7 down to 1, the coaches, according to Vegas, most likely to be fired next in the NFL. It also means this is the group of coaches most likely to be fired, period. Here's the number. Brian Daboll of the Giants is at number 7 at 15-1. Tied with him at 15-1 is Kevin O'Connell of the Minnesota Vikings. Inside the top 5, at number 5, 10-1, you find Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles. At number 4, Dennis Allen of the New Orleans Saints. He is 7-1. Mike McCarthy of the Dallas Cowboys is 5-1. Your top 2, Matt Eberflus of the Chicago Bears is plus 450, and at plus 350, Robert Salah of the New York Jets. Are there any storylines that pop off there for you? Obviously,
Chicago for sure, because they made the switch at quarterback, and he's putting his entire future. I mean, they're putting his entire future on whether the new quarterback can play or not.
That is exactly one of them for sure. Caleb Williams comes in, and it has pretty much already been determined Caleb Williams is going to be a star, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm telling you that's what
All
that's what all the draft experts and draft gurus were saying. That's what a lot of the folks around the league were saying. This guy has already been labeled a star.
Hey, Rob, why aren't New York teams ever any good? At least it seems like lately.
We're going to come back to
I
that.
mean, because 3 of the names on that list, right, are
The Jets and the Giants are both on there. And then, of course, Philly and Dallas out of the NFC East joins the Giants. So the Caleb Williams thing.
I threw Buffalo in there. I'm sorry.
No, Sean
I
McDermott's not on that. Should be. Should absolutely be. McDermott should be on that list.
Yeah, for leaving, letting all the receivers leave.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
For running them off, honestly. The Caleb Williams
or
thing.
Josh Allen ran them off.
No, Josh Allen did not run them off. The Caleb Williams thing is very interesting to me because of the predetermination that there's no way that he fails, right? However, you do have to go back to last year. I think if Chicago doesn't go on the little mini run that they went on at the end of the year, Matt Eberflus probably is already out, and they are deciding to start the Caleb Williams era with the new head coach. But then there's also a part of me that goes, yeah, bringing in a rookie quarterback alongside a coach who's never played or never coached at that level before probably makes it a little bit more difficult, right? Like, at least in this case, you got a brand new quarterback who's learning the ropes, who has as much pressure on him as any quarterback has had on them in a number of years to be a first-year success story. At least we pair him up with a head coach who's not learning the game. He already knows how to be a coach. He's already done it. Even if he's not been good at it, he at least knows how a team functions during the season. And I think that's the right thing to do. But to say, hey, Eberflus, if Caleb Williams fails, it is 100% on you and 0% on Caleb Williams is very interesting to me. Mike McCarthy being on this list, 0% shock to me.
Well, I'm surprised he's still there, aren't you?
A little bit. But also not, because, you know, we have or had an ad running, a promo running from this show where I talk about what I consider to be a reality in the NFL, the Al Davis effect. That is a point where your owner gets so locked in that he's the smartest guy in the room because he owns a team, that he is unwilling to walk back a decision that was directly tied to him, because then he has to admit that he's wrong. And I think Jerry Jones is the biggest chronic sufferer of the Al Davis effect in the game right now. Mike McCarthy's a Jerry Jones decision. That's JJ's guy. And so if they would have fired Mike McCarthy, JJ would have had to admit, I got this one wrong. Just like with Dak Prescott. By the way, Dak Prescott of, I don't play for the money. Shut up. Yeah, you do. If you don't play for the money, take the rookie minimum and help your team get better. But I bet you're not going to do that, Dak. What a silly thing to say. Either way, JJ would have to acknowledge that he made the wrong pick and it was the wrong guy to hire. He's not going to do that. They'll suffer one more year before that happens. And what they'll do next year is they'll get rid of him and Dak and everybody else and just say, oh, well, you know, we got a little complacent here in Dallas. It wasn't really that we had the wrong guys, because I, Jerry Jones, am never wrong. It's just that we really want to build this thing from the ground back up. Dennis Allen, no-brainer. No-brainer. Except for I wouldn't put $1 on him to be next, because for whatever reason, if Dennis Allen was getting canned, it'd have been at the end of last year where he had a team out on the field directly going against what he was telling them to do in a game. You got the most likable guy in your team, Cam Jordan, who is a legend around New Orleans, coming out and being asked heads up, do you respect your head coach? Do you remember what his answer was? It was, well, I respect him because he is the head coach. Not yes, which is what you like your players to say. Yes, I do. No, he said, I respect him because he is the head coach. Yeah, no, you don't. You definitely don't. But for whatever reason, Mickey Loomis and the boys have decided we're going to let this guy ride it out. That he'll get fired at the end of next year because we're going to suck. But it is what it is. Kevin O'Connell's a weird one for the Vikings. You got a good team. You lost Kirk Cousins, but you got your guy. You jumped up to get your guy.
I was going to ask you, who's the quarterback? I mean, you know.
They went and got a young man out of Michigan, Lonzo. They went and got a young man out of Michigan to replace Kirk Cousins, new quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, old Kirky. They went and got a young man out of Michigan by the name of J.J. McCarthy. The only reason I think O'Connell will be on this list is because O'Connell went to the Vikings and said, get me J.J. McCarthy. So if it fails, then it's on him. But if they handed him J.J. McCarthy and then said, if you lose, that's on you, I kind of hate Minnesota for that, if that's what happened, right? All right, we'll talk some more NFL quarterbacks and some rookies later on in the show. We got Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast coming up next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, one more live, and then I'm back with Rashad. Stay right there for me. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about our friends at New Life.
Do a dad joke with sarcasm.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's a very dry joke.
Which is why
It's a surface
yeah.
level, usually pun-oriented joke.
Okay.
Which is why I love them.
All right.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great Alonzo with you. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday morning. It is 8:40 in the morning, which means it's time to take a little ride up to Charlotte, North Carolina to check in with one half of the Panther Nation podcast. Friend of the show and dude that I've known to have a beverage with up there at Bank of
Check out
America
the
Stadium.
shirt. Check out the shirt, man.
What's on the shirt? What are we rocking today?
Yeah.
Don't hate it.
Look at
Rashad
that.
Beard here on the show. What's up, big dog?
What's going on, guys?
You know, you're looking at it. We're just hosting a radio show and trying to get to the damn weekend. That's all.
Yeah, almost there.
Almost there. Hey, let's get into some stuff, man. And obviously, as OTA's underway for folks around the country right now, we are starting, Rashad, to get some footage out here. In fact, yesterday got an opportunity to look at a couple of the highlights about BY, and from what I am reading, and I don't know how much you've been able to put eyeballs on it or spend any time breaking film down so far, but from what I understand, BY is, and this, I guess I should say Dave Canales has been, and it's no secret because he told us he was going to do this, been putting an emphasis on the footwork of Bryce Young, getting him more comfortable standing in the pocket, not jittering around the pocket. Easy to do when you play behind the offensive line you played behind last year. But I looked at the footage yesterday about some of the footwork that BY's been working on. And yes, I know it's OTAs. I know he's unguarded. Nobody's rushing him. There's no pocket around him. He's just going through passing drills. But, man, it looks a lot more sturdy than I thought it might compared to last year.
Yeah, I mean, at this time, this is what you want to see. I mean, you want to see him working on some of the micro aspects of his game. Footwork was a big, thing that he needed to work on, according to all the pundits, right? Everybody was saying that he's got happy feet. He's not planting his feet. He kind of throws off his tippy toes. And that's kind of been a big bugaboo for him. But now, we're working on it. And now is the time for us to kind of flush those things out so that when the pressure is coming, when there is a full rush coming, that is when, you can kind of lean into those habits a little bit more. And so, I mean, at this time, like you're saying, this is what we want to see from Bryce. Little improvements, and hopefully it leads up into the big improvements when the season begins.
I think for a lot of fans, right, we get into OTAs, and we've heard this. I'm sure you've heard it before. It's like, oh, who cares what they look like in OTAs, right? There's no pads. And this is when I want to see that perfection, that mastery. This is when I want to see a guy who gets the football in his hand and turns his head up the field and plants the feet and drives through the throw. Because if you get the foundation, the fundamentals perfect here, I feel a lot more confident than when we get to the fall and the pads go on and there's actually rushers in the face. I trust a little bit more that you're going to be comfortable. It is the guys. I'm looking at Bo Nix footage last night, and that's a guy that looks uncomfortable right now. Granted, he's a rookie, just like Bryce Young is this year. Granted, he's a guy that's been thrown into a complicated offense under Sean Payton. But I'm watching the footage, and Bo Nix looks a little unsure. Bro, if I can't trust you to complete passes in a 7-on-7 skelly when there's no pads on, I'm a little worried about you when August rolls around.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And I can't speak to Bo Nix and what he's going on. I'm kind of focusing on the Panthers. I have no clue what everybody else looks like, but it's valid, right? If you don't look good in shorts and in the t-shirt, then you're not going to look good when it's live fire. And so, yeah, I mean, this is where the real fans kind of lock in, and we're not just casuals, right? You got to look into the micro aspects of the game, and hopefully, like I said, when we're fixing these little things right now, and this is part of what Dave Canales wants to do. We call him the QB whisperer. We've seen him work with, Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith, and those guys are turning around. And who's to say that they didn't have good micro seasons and good, parts of their preseason OTAs as well? We don't know that process. So hopefully this is a part of Canales' process and things will get better. But all we can do at this point is hope it all works.
I'm going to ask you something a little abstract here, but I'm also going to ask you to stick up for, defend, maybe break down your co-host, old roadie David Rhodes, and I'm going to ask you to do that because he went live on the stream the other night without you. All right, I know what you were doing, what you had better to do than go on with Rhodey, but you were obviously busy.
Come on, you know what he was doing.
I do. I'm trying to keep the cover. The title of the stream was something to the effect of "The Panther disrespect continues," right? And I kind of had a knee-jerk reaction because on one hand, I'm like, all right, what disrespect? And obviously, your over-under number is set at 5.5. I don't know that any of it's a disrespect. The team was bad last year, right? So what did he say? Was there anything he said in that stream that stuck out to you that you agree with, disagree with? Like, do you feel the Panthers are being disrespected? And do you think that has any impact on the season 2024?
Well, I got to be honest. I didn't watch. I never watch any of the streams. I don't go back and watch anything. So I have not watched Dave's stream by himself. But I can kind of allude to what he's talking about. And most of the time, when you look at the mainstream, and this is nothing new, right? This has been always the case for the Carolina Panthers. We never get the mainstream looks. We've got to even when we were 15-1 in 2015. We were the worst. We were the worst undefeated team ever, right? At the time, we were the worst 15-1 team that ever existed in life because that's just the way the Carolina Panthers are treated. Small market teams. It's just the nature of the beast. But when you look at it, we're not favored in any games, right? So if you're a betting man, you might want to put some money down because I'm sure we're going to win at least one game. So we're not favored in any games, and so that kind of disrespect is just one of those things. I mean, we've got a lot to prove, and it's kind of warranted, right? 2-15 or whatever, not good, but I do think we're going to be a lot better than what people think. If you look at some of the stat predictions, things like that, and the Madden grades, all the same, there's just no respect for the Carolina Panthers, and I get it, not a good team, but we've got to earn it, and so no primetime games. All this kind of just bubbles up into the lack of respect for the Carolina Panthers. So I'm assuming that's what David was talking about.
Rashad just said he doesn't watch the PNP streams. Am I a bigger fan of the Panther Nation podcast than Rashad Beard is? Is that what we're learning right now?
Do not be critical. Some of us don't watch our stuff because you're hypercritical of your own thing. So that's what I'm guessing is his reasoning.
Yeah. I just don't have the time to kind of go back and watch stuff. That's what it is.
Or there's that. Yeah. There's a cat online by the name of Josh Larkey who writes for Sleeper, Roto World, 33rd Team, a couple other outlets he does some stuff with, and he put up his future of the team's piece the other day, and he put Carolina into a tier at the bottom of his tier list all by themselves. He put them in tier 7, a tier he called still years away from contending. Rashad Beard, I brought up the disrespect question because I even looked at that and went, years? Yeah, maybe year away, and I think there's a chance. But he said he is looking at this team being 4 to 5 years away from contending for the division, not even the NFC, not even the World Championship, for the NFC South. Dude, that's got to be the most pessimistic outlook, right?
Yeah, 4 to 5 years is kind of crazy. I would give you 2. Max, I mean, I think we'll be better than people anticipate this year. I'm not saying we'll win the division. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I do think we'll be competitive by year 2 into Canellis's reign here. So I don't, 4 to 5 years is kind of crazy because in 4 to 5 years, you're going to look at Canellis not being here if things don't go. If we're not competing, Canellis won't be here, which causes us to reset again, which would be just another cycle of terrible news for the Carolina Panthers. So I don't think 4 to 5 years is a stretch. I give us 2 years and we'll be competitive. Again, not saying we're going to win a Super Bowl, but at least the division will be competitive there. But yeah, that's part of the disrespect. I mean, it's easy, right? It's convenient, easy to say that because we haven't given much hope over the past couple of years. So that's just part of it, man. Just super disrespectful.
So I host, aside from this show, I host for the BetQL Network, which is a nationally syndicated gambling network. And the other day, one of the co-hosts and I were going over NFL over-under win totals. And we got asked by our producer, what teams are you hammering the over? What teams are you hammering the under? And I immediately threw Carolina out there sitting at 5.5. I said, that's an over bet for me. because I think 6 is very, very reasonable. I think we've had this discussion kind of more back towards when the roster got dropped. I'm going over at 6.5. And by the way, just so for those of you that are into the gambling world, it's -128 to the over, -110 to the under, which means that Vegas thinks it's more likely they get to 6 than they get stuck at 5. Now that we've had a couple of weeks to digest the schedule, now that you've gotten a chance to see, again, I know there's no pads on yet, but see BY in the Dave Canales offense early, the rudimentary, elementary aspects of it. How you feeling about a 5.5 win total?
Yeah, I firmly believe we'll win at least 6. I've had us when the schedule dropped, we predicted I had us at 7 to 8 wins. So yeah, I'm a believer of 6 wins. I think it's doable. I think it's plausible. And like I said, man, we were so bad last year. There's nowhere to go but up. And I think that Canales is going to have us in a better situation quicker than a lot of people think. I think Bryce is going to turn this thing around. You've got weapons. The offensive line is improved. Again, I just think it all aligns to us being a lot better quicker than people think. And again, we're not favored in any games, right? So, hey, put the money down. I'm not a betting man like that, but I'm sure we'll grab a couple. And I firmly believe 6. We'll get over that.
I think that's fair as well. We talk obviously down here in Greenville, South Carolina, talk a lot about Clemson and South Carolina, and there's a conversation that I've been having about Dabo Swinney at Clemson. I'm going to connect this to the Panthers. Stick with me for a second. He's very anti-transfer portal. He's in fact the only major college not to bring in a transfer guy this year. It's him and the military academies, and that's it, right? There's also the fact that while Clemson is in on NIL, Dabo Swinney isn't one of the coaches that's kind of out there pimping his kids to make that NIL money right now. And my take on Clemson was, I think you got to define success, because I think it's been around long enough that you can't use NIL in the portal like, oh, it's a new day in college football as an excuse anymore, as has been done for the past couple of years. So I said it is a prove it year for Dabo Swinney. Either he succeeds or he fails with his philosophy, and he needs to either be solidified or taken to task and have some awkward conversations because of it. How many years until you say Dave Canales is in that spot? Or what can he do this year that at the end of the season you will go, that was a successful season? Is it hit the over-under win mark? Is it just show me growth on the field? Like, is there a definition of success for Dave Canales this year that when this season wraps around and you and I do the season in review the first Thursday after, you go, I'm perfectly good with everything that happened?
That's a great question. I'm giving him at least 3 years, right? I want to give him some time to get this thing figured out. And that's one of the biggest criticisms of the Carolina Panthers is, hey, man, these guys aren't getting enough time to build. And then you keep cycling these guys out and they don't have time to actually fully implement their plans and goals. And so I'm giving them at least 3 years to kind of get it figured out, get it stabilized. But in regards to this year, what can he do to instill some confidence in the fan base and in myself? I don't think it's necessarily a win total per se. Obviously I would love to see 6-7 wins. That would be great. But I think it's more of a feel for me. Like I need for us to go out there and be competitive. I need for this offense. I need Bryce Young to improve. I need Bryce to be developed. I need to have the ultimate confidence in that, if we can fix a couple more things around Bryce, and maybe those weapons aren't quite there, if we can get Bryce on the right path and Bryce is improving, that's the biggest thing for me, because I firmly believe the defense is going to be okay. Evero did a great job what he had last year. I think that's going to be able to improve. I don't have any problems there. I need to see improvement in the offense. So if I see improvement in the offense, we're able to move the football, we're able to score, and these games are actually competitive, then I can be like, all right, if we're losing in the last, final drives and things, it's a competitive, close games, and we're losing, and we're just losing by a stroke of bad luck, then cool, I can deal with that. But I got to be competitive, and I got to see some competent football. That's my biggest thing. So if you can show me some competent football, maybe it will get to 6 to 7 wins. I'll be happy with that.
Made for more in the chat says steps forward, no steps back. And I really think that's pretty much it. Rashad Beard hosts the Panther Nation podcast. You can follow them on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, head to the YouTube channel. Make sure that you are subscribed up there. You guys got anything coming up?
Nothing too much. We got a couple interviews that we're working on. Hopefully those things occur, but not too much. It's kind of quiet right now. Getting ready, geared up, trying to plan some things for training camp, things like that. But nothing too much going on in Panther Nation world.
I dig it. Make sure you hit the YouTube channel, Panther Nation Podcast. Get subscribed. Hit that little what did it say? Hit the bell notification. I don't know what the kids are doing nowadays. All that good stuff. Rashad, you legend. We'll see you next Thursday, big dog.
Peace out, guys. Thank you.
Later on, that is Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation Podcast. Joins us every Thursday at 8:40 to talk Panther football. At the end of every hour, we all join Lonzo to go on the little adventure that we call a Sports Flash.
You're welcome. Welcome aboard. The Braves dropped a 7-2 contest against the Nations, and I sound like Rudolph, at home last night against the Nationals, rather. Rookie hurler Spencer Schwellenbach was tagged with the loss after a 5-inning, 5-hit, 5-strikeout debut. Schwellenbach surrendered a 5th-inning 3-run home run to Lane Thomas, which separated the two teams. Atlanta's offense put together 8 hits, including a pair from Ozzie Albies and Matt Olson. The Braves will try to split the series with Washington today at 7:20 with Ronaldo Lopez on the bump. College football may look a bit different and more corporate next year. Ross Dellinger is reporting that NCAA officials are considering allowing schools to display corporate logos on their football fields and potentially further down the line on players' jerseys. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for a brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on all the latest local and national sports news, Wire to Wire.
Able to enjoy this summer as much as you want because of your joint pain. This is the best time for being out. Not if your knees, shoulders, back, or hips are hurting. Hey, it's Kelly Green. Don't suffer any longer.
So much fun being on the edge of a sneeze as soon as you start reading.
Oh, good. I know yesterday I was like, y'all were in the middle of the second. I felt one coming on. I chatted over to that corner.
Yeah, I don't really have that option. I could have just
No,
said,
no.
you know what, it's over, and just hit the button and walked away.
And I went over there, and then it teased like it's going away, and then all of a sudden,
All right, let's look at our time.
That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and Asheville. 864-448-3772. Celebrate Greenville's music scene.
59-17.
At Noma Square.
No.
A free outdoor party at
I
Piedmont
can't
Natural
count.
Gas downtown.
36, excuse me. 59-36.
All right. Here's what you need to do. Take out the BetGM.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently.
And go over here to the thing over there and get the fan upstate liner. You're right next to it. Get that and put that right before the ID. You were close. You were like 16 seconds off. When you're not used to doing it, it's not going to boom, just be right there. It takes a little bit to get used to adding that kind of way.
I've only handed out one block this morning, James, and it was accidental.
I did notice there was something down here that said no valid rotator.
Right. And we'll see what happens in a second because it's still red and it's a sports flash.
Okay.
And it may be dated right by the time we get there. If not, well, then it won't play. Normally you would do what's called a discrep. And this is either Diesel or Cole didn't update their thing. Sometimes it's hour specific. So when you jump into the actual hour, it will be okay. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
Oh, that's this mouse.
Yeah, it's over there. It's okay.
I have my brain on this computer. I have the wrong mouse.
Okay.
And here we go. The fourth and final of the Money Hour. The Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the fan upstate. Rob Brown, Lonzo with you this AM. Rolling on through the four most electrifying hours in sports talk entertainment that you will find anywhere, any day, anytime, ever across the multiverse. We got a lot we want to get into here in the final hour of the show, including coming up in the next segment, Fight Club with the great Lonzo, where he brings us through the world of boxing, MMA, and professional wrestling. Did Rob Brown do well enough to escape the Nerf wall on the Upstate Pulse, which, by the way, the Upstate Pulse hosted by the great one, Lonzo, every Saturday from 7 to 9 on our brother station, WORD. And surprise, surprise, who this Saturday evening makes his triumphant return to the Upstate Pulse for the first time in how long, Lonzo? Like 6 months?
No,
3 months?
it's,
something like that?
A year and a half.
3 weeks?
Year and a half. Yes, year and a half. Maybe even a little more than a half.
Rob Brown making his return to the Upstate Pulse this Saturday.
We'll see.
No, I will. The fiance's out of town.
Okay. All right.
I'm allowed to do whatever I want.
I'm looking forward to the Odie Rob connection.
It's going to be great.
Seeing what happens there.
It's going to be great. I might just bring the whiskey with me to the show.
Might be the final show ever, but we'll see.
Did Rob Brown do enough to escape the Nerf wall after AEW Double or Nothing? Maybe we'll find out in the next segment. Stick around. Fight Club's up next.
Won't. I don't let those things know until the day of. So, I mean, that's how that works.
For the record, I'm not going on the Nerf wall. All right. I nailed it.
All right, fine. You're not going on the Nerf wall.
I already knew that. That was just building suspense for the audience.
The only way the Nerf wall was happening this time was if you lost, because we had less people picking. But if you lost, it was still going to happen. Yeah. I'm not going to cheat, but people want me. No. People want me to cheat. I'm not going to do it. I mean, that's probably as close as. That's not really cheating. 4 people picked. I need 5, but I was willing to waive the 5th person if you lost. That's all.
If only I lost.
Yes, it's.
I respect it.
It's what you. It was a management decision. That's
that
what
just gives me even more pride in remaining the Bill Goldberg of professional wrestling picking.
Which really sucks, by the way. I mean, we've got the Undertaker streak has got to end here pretty soon. Someone's got to end this thing.
Who's next? All right, I want to get into this discussion here for just a minute, if you don't mind. And I know some of you aren't going to care. I don't care. I don't care. I got to get to it. I got to get to it anyway. So let's get to it here. Sir Charles, the round mound of rebound. Charles Barkley decided the other night at the end of the Inside the NBA on TNT show, which of course has been live at the Western Conference Finals. Why not go out with a bang? Because that show apparently is not going to be no mo, which is too bad because it is the best studio television sports show, I'm going to say ever, and stand on that. Chuck Barkley was talking about the Caitlin Clark effect. And it's been interesting because on one hand, and I preface all of this conversation with, and I don't think this is going to come as a surprise to too many of you, I am absolutely a proponent of the advancement of women's sports. I am a fan. I am an advocate. I do the best that I can to help promote with the platform that I have. When Caitlin Clark was playing in the WNBA earlier in the season, I was watching. I still am. I know the numbers have dropped off. I'm not surprised by that. She is 1-7 now. I'm not shocked with that. I'm not shocked by any of that. Okay. Now, there's a lot of players within the WNBA that have taken some pot shots or had some comments about Caitlin Clark post the beginning of her WNBA career. When Caitlin Clark got to the league, a lot of changes happened. Now, how many of them we can attribute to the Caitlin Clark effect? I don't know. I think it's hard to say because none of the decision makers are going to come out and straight up say, yeah, we did this because of Caitlin Clark. But the timing is obviously something that must be discussed. she shows up and then the changes happen. But it wasn't just Caitlin Clark. There's Angel Reese. There's Camila Cardoso. There's Cameron Brink. There's Rakia Jackson. There's all these great players that have made their entrance into the WNBA, and it's as good as it's ever been. Last night, I was hosting BetMGM Tonight on the BetQL network. And I was hosting BetMGM Tonight on the BetQL network. And for the first time in the 3 years that I have been hosting shows on that nationally syndicated network, on a show that is propped up by one of the largest sports books in all of America, basically, me and Jamie Foxx are coworkers. We both have the same amount of attention from BetQL or from BetMGM. So, last night, as I looked at the rundown for that show, I realized that there was a guest that I had not interviewed before. Most of the time that I fill in on those shows, most of the guests are guys that over the years, or gals that over the years, I've had the pleasure of interviewing. I had a new one last night. I went and looked him up so I could do a little show prep, get ready, learn a little something about the topic of the interview, whatever. And I found out that the guest was a gentleman from Covers, which is a betting insight website, who exclusively covers the WNBA. First time in my career that we had a WNBA specific guest on. We've had basketball guests on in the past who could flirt with the WNBA, but it was the first time we had a WNBA exclusive guest on the show. Enjoyed the conversation. It was fun. And I got to talking to one of the producers behind the scene. I said, hey, yo, like, why did we do that? I'm glad we did, but why that decision? I've been on 3 years. That was the first time I've ever had a producer put a WNBA exclusive guest on. And he said, because BetMGM brought him forward. BetMGM wanted him on because the dollar amount that is being wagered on WNBA games right now is the highest it's ever been. It's through the roof right now. He said they want the attention. I said, that's great. So again, I'm not saying it's exclusively on Caitlin Clark, but to some degree it is. And there's a lot of WNBA players who don't love that. A lot of WNBA players saying, wait a minute, y'all just showed up. We've been here for a minute, maybe a little less Caitlin Clark and a little more all the rest of the athletes in the game. Which, let's be real, I totally understand. You know why hipsters are hipsters, right? You know what a hipster is? Y'all know what a hipster is. Lonzo knows what hipsters are.
Yes, it's someone who dresses a certain way and goes to Trader Joe's.
That is not true.
And Whole Foods.
That is also not exclusive. I mean, it's not exclusively true. It is true as far as what they do, but it's not exclusively true. A hipster is someone...
They like listening to Dave Matthews.
Again, true, but not exclusively. Listening to Dave Matthews doesn't make you a hipster, but if you are a hipster, you listen to Dave Matthews, right? Not all Dalmatians are dogs, or not all dogs are Dalmatians, but all Dalmatians are dogs, right? So, a hipster is a person who follows the latest trends that are outside of the cultural mainstream. And if you have followed the WNBA for the last few years, you're a bit of a sports hipster to some degree. And so a lot of the sports hipsters, especially and including the players that are inside of the league, have been like, yo, maybe talk about those of us that have been playing for a while, right? Maybe talk about those of us that are vets of this league. Maybe talk about the Diana Taurasi's of the world, etc. Maybe get into it. Well, one of them specifically fired back at Charles Barkley. Here is what Chuck said at the conclusion of Inside the NBA on TNT that got a few players in the WNBA fired up.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world. Yeah, you are. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes. Listen, what she's accomplished. Give her flowers. Stop being petty, all you women out there. She got y'all ass charters. She bringing all y'all this money to the table, but y'all being petty like dudes. LeBron, you are 100% right. Y'all girls, stop being petty. Caitlin Clark, thank you for bringing all that money and shine to the WNBA.
Well, they're gonna hate you even more now.
Hey, they can't do anything to me.
They're gonna hate you.
Hey, they can hate on me, but that mailman better be in my damn house the 1st and the 15th.
I love Chuck so much. I do. Mailman better be at my house on the 1st and the 15th. Love Chuck. So,
as if he doesn't have direct deposit.
yeah, exactly. I do love the idea of on the 1st and the 1st and the 15th, Chuck putting on the robe and walking down the driveway because Chuck refuses to use direct deposit. I don't want none of them knowing my bank account number. Send me a check. I love that idea.
Big old smile on his face, knows the mailman's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Greg? Thanks for bringing me that check, Greg. You big dummy. I love Chuck. He's the best. So, this is very interesting because there is a young lady who plays in the league right now for the Phoenix Mercury. Her name is Natasha Cloud. And Natasha Cloud has been a respected voice in the WNBA for many years.
Who?
She's been in the game for a while.
Who?
Natasha Cloud.
Who did she play for?
Natasha Cloud used to play for the she used to play for the Mystics for a very long time. She's been in the game for a hot minute. She got sent over to Phoenix and is a pretty predominant player in the association. So, Natasha Cloud was a little upset, as some of the other players have been, about the fact that Chuck Barkley is saying, Caitlin Clark is the reason that so many people are paying attention. Maybe stop hating on Caitlin. In fact, there's some people that are saying the ladies in the league may be playing a little bit more physically when they body up Caitlin Clark than they do a lot of other players in the league. Lonzo, a week and a half ago, sent me a video on Twitter of Caitlin Clark eating a block that sent her sprawling to the deck with a quote from the great one saying she's not going to make it a year and a half in this league because she's getting the hell beat out of her, right? And
I want to point out, I wasn't being sarcastic either.
No, not at all.
You got to be concerned for her health, but if you're the latest thing, that's what you got to deal with. No matter where, if it's the NFL, the NBA, the WNBA, wherever, that stuff's going to happen.
Absolutely. So let me give a Liberab the Woke Warrior preface to this, and then I'll get into my point about Natasha Cloud and the rest of the games, the rest of the players in the game. The Liberab Woke Warrior preface is, I don't grammar police. I don't language police. All right. I don't tell other people how to say what they want to say, etc., except when I do. But I don't do that. It is not up to me to say things to you that tell you and restrict what you can say and how you can say it. That being said, I'm assuming Natasha Cloud wants the WNBA to join the ranks of the most professional, the most popular, the most successful professional sporting outlets. I'm talking about the big five, right? The NBA, the MLB, the NHL, the NFL, and MLS. I'm giving a little credit there to MLS, but you get it. You get it. Here's the thing. Along with that comes the rest of the sports talk universe, right? I think what happens with players like Natasha Cloud is they want the WNBA to be celebrated, to be viewed, to be watched, to be invested in. Yet, I think there's an element of, almost wanting to be adored without criticism or without all the things that come along with celebrity. What is happening with the WNBA right now should be celebrated. I literally did it on a national show last night. I love the fact that we have a major sports book that said, we want a WNBA guy on tonight. We want a WNBA analyst on to talk WNBA gambling. That's how big this is. I think that's great. These things should be celebrated. We should be celebrating that. But I got Natasha Cloud out here saying in a tweet that she did not put at Chuck Barkley, but it was about Chuck Barkley. She said, quote, "I'm tired of hearing men talk about our league knowing nothing about our history. Invest or STFU respectfully." I will always appreciate somebody who drops a good solid STFU into a tweet at somebody. I like that. But here's the thing. She went on to say, y'all want us to be pitted against each other so bad. No, we don't. It's a sport. Sport is competition. We want good competition, and sport is rivalry. We want good rivalries. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, I'm a college football fan. I absolutely say mean things about the teams that I consider rivals, the teams that I consider opponents. You're damn right I do. I do it in the NBA. I do it in Major League Baseball. Ask James, noted Philadelphia Philly fan, in the chat how many lovely things I've said about the Phillies over the years.
I am appalled by your behavior. I would never do such a thing towards an opponent.
Yeah, for sure. How'd you feel about Jim Harbaugh going to San Diego, by the way? I mean, L.A., but San Diego.
He has a lovely Winnebago.
There it is. There it is. Miss Cloud, you have to consider me a friend. All right. I'm here as a friend. I'm here as a supporter. I'm here as a dude that is watching the WNBA with regularity this season. Not just Caitlin Clark. All the WNBA. I am an advocate. I'm an ally, as the Utes like to say. Here's the thing. When you got Chuck Barkley talking about you, lean into it. When you got Draymond Green talking about you, lean into it. When you got regional hosts across the Southeast, a place where outside of Columbia, women's basketball has not caught fire, coming on the radio and talking about you, lean into it. Okay? Lean into it. Don't sit here and tell Chuck Barkley what he is allowed to say and not allowed to say. Don't. Lean into it. Play back against it. Start that rivalry. How much attention have Draymond and the screaming loudmouth from ESPN gotten over the past 2 weeks by just going back and forth with each other? A lot. Get that pub. It's right there for you. You have wanted for years men to be invested in your game. Here we are. Here we are. We want to buy in. We want to be a part of it. But you also have to say, y'all enjoy the game the way you enjoy the game. The day that you start policing fans and telling fans how they may and may not talk about, not act, not come to the games and behave, not act towards play, but just talk about your game. If you are going to police the way we talk about your game, we'll go right back to not talking about it. And as somebody who wants women's sports to grow and get bigger and better, trust me, you don't want to get to a point where I feel like it is too controversial for me to address your game at the risk of offending the women who support it. If you want it to be treated like the big time sports, you've got to treat it like you are a big time athlete within that sport. If you don't, and you tell me how I'm allowed to talk about your game, I just won't. And you will start losing people who have the ability to help you grow your game. And you don't want that. Fight Club is up next on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, I got to go to find new batteries for the headphones. It's a Pirate's favorite letter.
Yeah, I've heard this before, but I always forget it.
Most people would say R, which is fair, but it's not true. Pirate's first love be the sea. It's the best dad joke ever made.
Also, a very good pirate joke. So
Phenomenal pirate joke.
there you go.
It's on this side, right? It is. So why?
You can do this. I have confidence.
Oh, it's over here.
There you go. See, I told you.
Big smart boy.
Just need a little pep talk. That's
Big
all.
smart boy. Kobe. Yay. That's new, so we need to save that.
Welcome into the Fight Club, where even if we're playing hurt, we play, because that's what men do. We get in there, we punch you in the throat, we knee you in the nethers. We're never going to we're never going to slap you though, because
Knee you in the nethers.
yeah, we're never going to slap you though.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Just
Yeah.
making sure.
it's using letters and what's that called again? Alliteration.
Knee you in the nethers.
Yeah. Would you like me to demonstrate in case you don't know?
No,
where
I know
mean,
exactly what it means.
All right, that's what we do. I mean, because you'd rather be kneed in the nethers than slapped in the face, right?
No.
Yeah, I think most
No.
people would rather be kneed in the nethers
No.
than slapped in the. Don't slap me, man. If you're gonna knee me, I respect that to some degree. But if you slap me, I'm gonna hate you forever.
You would rather be kneed in the boys than slapped. I'd rather take 5 to the face, because at least I can come back at you. If you take a good knee to the nethers and you lose a groin, that fight's over.
Nah. You can knee me. Don't slap me. That's all. Now, I'm not suggesting when you see me out in public that you come up and do any of those.
No, I've already told you. If you see Lonzo in public, give him a hug. He's a big fan.
Hand
Especially
hugs.
if he
Hand
doesn't
hugs.
see you coming, do the like over their back hand, like shoulder hug.
Yeah, that's probably a mistake
He's
right
a big
there.
fan.
Well, you'd have to be taller than me.
It
To,
gives him the warm and fuzzies.
yeah. You might get a judo flip if that happens. All right, let's get to the Fight Club. The first thing, and this is being talked about everywhere, so we need to start out with this. Does Becky re-sign with WWE, or is she going elsewhere, like maybe home or to AEW?
She will not wrestle for another company is going to be my answer to that. Does that mean that she is coming back to WWE? She might take some time. I suspect she'll take some time. Seth is taking some time. She might put it off for a little while, but I firmly believe that Becky and Seth are WWE lifers. I think after the fact that those two as a power couple kind of carried that company for a little while, I really think WWE would likely do whatever they need to do to keep both of them happy and in the fold. So she may take some time off. She may step away from the company for a little while, but I do think she is a lifer within it.
All right, I agree with you. I think she probably will just step away, because they wouldn't give her the kind of closure that they've given her, the things that she has said to people on her supposed way out the door. I don't think they give that to someone who's leaving, even under Triple H's reign. I don't think they do that. They definitely would have did it under the last guy, whatever his name was. By the way, shout out to the local wrestling company that was on the stream a little bit earlier. And I just want to say that we saw some blatant disrespect from Rob Brown towards the church.
That is a lot.
And he has since
that is a lot.
apologized on 2 different platforms on the stream. You can go back and look at it. Apologize, because there's fear that he's offended the church and doesn't want repercussions. And I believe it was Malik that he needs to be fed to. And I think that needs to happen. I just want to point that
It
out.
is Asylum Pro Wrestling here in the Upstate, which shows on Friday nights. You can go look them up. Brother Silas came in here, and for like a second, I got a little. I'm like, oh man, this is the last thing I want up in the stream. So I kind of accidentally hit the block button on him before I realized, no, that is an apostle of a church within our local wrestling scene. I have made a mistake. Brother Silas has offered me penance, which I have accepted. Yet for some reason, Lonzo keeps trying to get me choke slammed through a table.
Rob was triggered, and because of that, he did what he did, and he deserves to be punished for it. I'm behind the church on this. If they want to take care of it, we would be there in person, and I will personally be in your corner when you decide to inflict the penance on Rob Brown.
There's no need. We're supposed to be a team. Lonzo.
We are.
We're supposed to be a team.
But sometimes one of us errs in some way and the other one has to pay.
This is like every time that a tag team ends up in the ring with like the Dudley Boys for every once a year when they trot them back out, and the Dudley Boys set them up for the 3D and the other tag team partner just kind of like steps backwards to watch it happen. That's what Zoe's doing to me right now.
All right, I'm going to segue into this because this is perfect. I have a question for you and stream, by the way. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or X, or text line 71307. Please start it with the fan. Who would you trust more as a tag team partner? Randy Orton or Samoa Joe?
Oof, that's a good one. Let's see. What would happen if you put Big Show on a team with either one of those guys? The world just blows up, right?
Yeah, probably.
I'm gonna go with Randy Orton. And I'm going to go with Randy Orton because he spent so long with Matt Riddle and RK Bro. And if there was ever a dude that Randy just out of frustration would have RKO'd despite being on a team, it would have been Bro in his broest. And the fact that he made it through, Samoa Joe would turn on his mom if it gave him another title opportunity. So I'm going to go the Viper.
I'm going to go with Samoa Joe, and this will tie into something in just a little while if we get a chance. All right, let's get back to the WWE first. The kiss that was seen by some, but not all. So apparently, and I hadn't watched the end of it, but I saw Liv's kiss with Dom on stream online, and then I went back and found out that a lot of people. USA cut it off before the kiss.
Yeah, nobody on TV saw it.
Yeah, a lot of people who are watching on stream, like with YouTube or something like that. I think I heard some people watching on Hulu or something were able to see it. And international broadcasts showed the kiss on purpose, accident. Who do you blame? I know I blame USA. I think USA did it.
No, for sure. They have a time limit, and back in the day, it was not uncommon for WWE to have like a 4, 5, 6 minute run over time, and the networks would give them that time. I also think this is part of the reason that they decided to go with the Netflix deal and to moving over to Netflix is because they can say, oh, it's a 4-hour show, but they also don't have to worry about that. That's a huge implication on a storyline, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Massive implication on a storyline that well over half, I'd say 80% of their audience did not see happen in real time. And now they have to kind of work around that. And obviously, since it's a weekly product, they can just open the next show with it. But still, the point of that moment was an immediate sense of shock that did not translate. It's not going to be as shocking the next week when it's on replay as it was in the moment. And so I think that's a big part of the reason that they're moving over to Netflix. So those things can stay on in a runover situation, and you don't have to miss that.
Well, I believe there's a good portion of the wrestling audience who also are on social media and probably saw it. Pretty. I guess
sure. It was trending immediately.
Yeah.
But if you got a 12-year-old kid that watches wrestling with pops and he's already gone and watched it live, like he's probably not popping on Twitter before he goes to bed and finding out. And if you're like me, where as soon as that show's over, you just turn off the TV, roll over, and go right to sleep, as I obviously do.
Of course.
You missed it. And you woke up the next morning seeing it trending on Twitter. And again, maybe that shock value is still there to some degree, but it's like watching a sport on replay after you already know the score. It's like, man, like the excitement's not there like it is.
All right. Karrion Kross, I don't know if you've seen this. He's been doing a lot of talking to Xavier Woods. And is this the end of the New Day? Are we going to finally get it? Woods has said in the past that he would love to do a heel turn. Do you think this is the end of the New Day? I mean, because they're not using them like they used to, like they should. And I think that a lot of it has to do with Big E being gone.
100%.
Is it time?
I mean, like you said, you're not doing anything with him. And I would also argue that right now you've got a tag team division that is as deep as it's ever been. And it's not like New Day is necessarily old enough where you're like, let's give them one more run. They're not going anywhere yet. I will say this. Xavier Woods is one of my favorite wrestlers overall, personally. Xavier Woods is the type of dude who genuinely loves wrestling and knows how to do it, but he's been where he is for so long. He's just one of those cats that feels naturally babyface to me. Like, what does the Xavier Woods heel run look like? Sure, he turns on Kofi, right? Kofi, you've been dragging us down, and you get the Kofi Xavier run, but like, how does Xavier Woods be a heel? I don't understand how he can do it.
It's easy. We've seen it time and time again. He just has to lose an eye, because you lose an eye and suddenly you can be a heel. I mean, it's worked. It's worked in several different companies, and Xavier Woods with an eye patch would look pretty cool. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing, but again, you're telling me you spent 10 years marching to the ring with a pink trombone, and now all of a sudden you're the bad guy? Like, and I will also acknowledge that a lot of this has to do with the fact of how much Xavier Woods shows up in my non-wrestling fandom, right? When he's on social playing up, down, and doing all this stuff on what used to be G4 and all that. I just really like the dude.
All right, really quick. Last night we got the matchup coming up that I am very interested in seeing. Will Ospreay is going to take on Swerve at the next pay-per-view in AEW for the championship. Will Ospreay, arguably, at least in my opinion and a lot of people's opinions, is the best wrestler on the planet Earth, going up against Swerve, who's improved so much. I'm looking forward to this match. Is it too soon to put Will Ospreay? You already put a belt on him last weekend. Is it too soon for him to go up and get the number one prize in AEW?
No, it's not, because he is the best wrestler in the world, right? Too soon means, does he need to develop more, work on character work, cutting promos, wrestling, whatever the case might be? What is Will Ospreay not great at right now? He's an incredible promo bruv. He is the greatest in-ring performer that there is going right now. What does he need to work on that it's not worth strapping him? And then you put him across from Swerve Strickland, who is just skyrocketed to the top. That match alone is worth a buy. That match alone.
All right. One last thing as we head out to break. AEW made a mistake last night, I think. They put Christopher Daniels in as the acting general manager.
Why is that a mistake?
Because I don't know. Is he the foil for the Elite? I don't know that he is. I think you let the Elite run amok a little bit longer before you do that. I think they're maybe a couple more weeks down the road, maybe a month down the road you do it. I just think it's too soon.
I mean, Jungle Boy got lit on fire.
He did, but he was there yesterday and was going to get handed the vacant belt, the TNT belt, I believe it is, since Adam Copeland got his leg done broke. And Christopher Daniels came out and said that he is now the voice of Tony Khan.
I'm here for it, honestly.
I would have waited another couple
I think this
weeks.
is one of those things that, again, I think there are some things that happen in AEW that hit harder if you are or have paid attention to wrestling that is not in the mainstream. And this is one of those guys that kind of fits into that box. All right, there you got it. Fight Club from the Great One Lonzo. When we come back here in a minute, got a few more stories, including breaking down tonight's Dallas, Minnesota Game 5. That's next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Gearing up for this Sunday's Cup Series race just outside of St. Louis. It's the Illinois 300 at Gateway, 3:30 Eastern Time for the green flag. Denny Hamlin's the current points leader at 492. Martin Truex Jr. 487.
Martin.
Third at 486. The Nationals handed the Braves a 7-2 setback on Wednesday. Atlanta drops to 31 and 22 overall. Lane Thomas put the Nats ahead with a 3-run homer. Mackenzie Gore got the win, improving to 4-4. He struck out 10. The series finale is tonight. Braves lefty Ray Kerr gets to start. He's 1-1. The Nationals go with righty Trevor.
I think our little Cardinal friends are hanging out right over here.
Yeah, I think there may be a nest up there.
Speaking of,
Also get Twitter and 3. And that plays at 50.
there it is. Took me a second to find it. Speaking of Cardinals,
As the nation's leader in using orthobiologics to deal with joint
can you
pain,
correctly guess the Cardinals?
Rob is not a featherweight, Steven.
North Korean.
He's still a dude.
I know they're not the Cardinals.
Okay.
Otterbein.
I'm not a super
Otterbein.
heavyweight anymore.
Landrum.
Okay.
Landrum High School in the northern part of Spartanburg.
I know Landrum.
Yeah. It's like 10 minutes from my house.
I did a high school show for a while. So
Yeah, hey, big baseball town. Big baseball town. 5-time state champion.
not that you're bragging or anything.
No, I didn't go to school there, but
Okay.
I know some of the coaches, good people over there.
I am a middle heavyweight at the least. Light heavyweight.
That's
That's
what I was
what
gonna
it
say.
is.
It's not a middle heavyweight. What the heck's a
Light
middle
heavyweight.
heavyweight? Why do you need to know who people are?
I don't know who that-
They're fans of the show. I don't go, okay, I wonder who this really is.
No.
I mean,
I'm a geek.
like that Keegan guy. I mean, is that really his name? I don't know that. I don't know if that's Keegan's real name.
It's a work.
Steven may not really be Steven. I don't know.
No. I was laughing at the
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
how often do we point out the obvious, Steven?
Yeah. I used to be the kid that got slung around very easily on the tire swing in elementary school. Everybody's like, "Hey, Justin, get on the tire swing," and I was dumb enough to say, "Okay."
See, now everyone's on to you now, Keegan.
Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and
Big
charging,
Show,
we can
teaming
help
with
you
Mark
get back
Henry.
on the road.
Both back away from.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right.
Well,
I know Mark Henry's leaving AEW.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that I think Paul White is also. So
Well, it's the big show.
friend of this program.
It's a big
Well, actually, we've
show.
interviewed both of them. We've interviewed Mark Henry and we've interviewed
Oh, that's pretty dang cool.
Paul White. Paul White was excellent, especially after the cameras went off.
Search the fan upstate.
You have heard me say in the past that sometimes, rarely, but sometimes sports is not that complicated. Sometimes people get lost in the sauce as far as trying to figure out the X's and O's of athletics. Sometimes coaches, players, fans, they get all caught up in trying to figure out why did X happen? Why is Y? And they got a little, they get a little carried away when sometimes the answer is actually obvious. Sometimes the answer is just right there in front of you. Sometimes the answer is 7 feet tall. Can't teach that.
You cannot. You can't. You can try, but you can't teach it.
Cannot teach that. Dallas, Minnesota. Game 5 tonight in the Land O'Lakes. The Timberwolves survive 105-100 in game number 4. Luka and Kyrie and the boys now got to head up north to the cold with another chance to put away Minnesota. I got asked last night on BetMGM tonight, Rob, the T-Wolves are right now sitting, hovering, depending on the book you look at 5-1 to come back and win this series 4-3. My first knee-jerk reaction was 5-1, that's it? I thought it'd be like 10-1, right? 11-1, somewhere in that range, as nobody does that thing. And then I got to thinking, I think people got tricked here. I think people got fooled by that last game. See, because everybody looked back at that last game, and not only did Ant-Man kind of pat back up into being the superstar of this team that he's supposed to be, but also Karl-Anthony Towns finally showed up. Big Cat finally played like Big Cat instead of just a regular cat. Finally came back out, finally came out of the shell and busted it up. And I think a lot of people looked at that and they went, uh-oh, this is who the T-Wolves are supposed to be. They're supposed to have Ant-Man out there putting folks on posters. They're supposed to have Big Cat getting his 25 and 7 and 10 per game. And now they got it, right? And the answer was, yeah, they had it. They had it for a night. I'm going with Dallas to win game 5 for 2 reasons. Number one, because Lonzo did. And Lonzo's been 100% on Dallas Mavericks games this postseason. Number 2 reason I am is, and I said this last night, I was on with Pat Boyle. Pat Boyle is a young man out of the state of New Jersey, broadcast across Jersey and New York City. Good guy, big name up in that direction. And he fired back at me on this take because he was all in on, that's Karl-Anthony Towns. And I said, whoa, wait, sorry. And I said, whoa. I remember I had that clip,
Could have been smoother, but
Yeah, well, that's why I'm not an executive producer. Also, a lot of people, I think, got caught up. I think they looked at that game 4 and they said, uh-oh, the T-Wolves are back. There's the Timberwolves that beat the Dallas Mavericks. The Denver Nuggets. There's that team, right? Hold your horses, kids. Because I'd like to go back to games 1, 2, and 3, all games the Dallas Mavericks won. The first 2 in the Land of Lakes, by the way. So don't tell me Dallas can't go up into the cold and win a game. They already have twice in this series done so. But there are 2 things that have held true in all 3 Dallas Mavericks wins in this series. Number 1, the Minnesota Timberwolves, for whatever reason, have just collapsed in the final few minutes of games 1, 2, and 3. They were in them. Every game in 1, 2, and 3, the spread was covered. The only game that wasn't, unless you bet the Timberwolves in game 4, the only game that a spread wasn't covered was game 4. 1, 2, and 3, Minnesota covered the spread, right? With the except, I think they were favored in game 1. I think they were favored in games 1 and 2. So it's actually the opposite way around. As far as the Timberwolves go, I think they only covered the spread in game 4, the game they won. For Dallas, they covered all except the one they lost, obviously. So, number 1, for whatever reason, this team kept melting down late in the series. And by the way, they almost did in game 4. They almost did again in game 4, but they figured it out. But the second thing is what I told you was going to be the biggest impact coming into this series. The Minnesota Timberwolves were designed to beat the Denver Nuggets. They were built for it. How do you beat the Denver Nuggets? You got a guy that can go toe-to-toe with Jokic for 40 minutes. And then you build an offense that when Jokic checks out, you can play fast around the rim. That's what the Timberwolves are. They are built to play fast around the rim. What they are not designed to do is to be able to go up against the team that for 48 minutes of every game has a 7-footer in front of the basket. The one variable that was different from games 1, 2, and 3, those all wins by the Dallas Mavericks, and games 4, which was a win for the Minnesota Timberwolves, there was only one variable. What was that variable? Derek Lively. That's it. Now, that seems like a lot for a 7-footer who was drafted in the middle of the first round of the NBA draft. It seems like a lot for a rookie, but here's the beautiful thing. They are not asking him, as Oklahoma City asked of Chet Holmgren. They are not asking him, as San Antonio asked of gigantic dork Victor Wembanyama. And by the way, I say dork with all the complimentary and energy I can.
Dork.
Love a
Dork.
Big fan of.
Dork.
They're not asking him to be the face of the franchise, to carry the team, to score all the points, to get all the rebounds, to throw all the blocks. All they've asked him is, I need you for 21 to 28 minutes a game to be a rim protector. I need you to make sure nothing inside of 5 feet is easy. And I need you to give me all the gas you got for 4 minutes. And then we're going to replace you with Daniel Gafford for 4 minutes. And then after 4 minutes, we're going to send you back in. And you go full afterburner for 4 minutes. And then you're coming right back out. And splitting time has been great. And it is a system designed to work against a team that is predicated on the 4 being the best player. That, of course, Karl Anthony Towns. Why? Because what has happened in this series, in my opinion, is that when Cat gets the ball somewhere out on the perimeter, because he wants to play a game where he can shoot a 3 as often as he can drive, when he gets the ball out on the perimeter, they just man him up with a 4. When Cat gets the ball somewhere around the 3-point line, they charge a 4 out of him, but that 4 doesn't have to play like scared defense. He can get in there and disrupt Karl Anthony Towns. Why? Because even if Karl Anthony Towns gets around the 4, even if he is able to pull off a move, break an ankle, and get to the inside, then what happens? Every time, waiting down there for him, off of the roll, off of the break, whatever he did to get down there, is a 7-footer. Either Gafford's down there or Lively's down there. What you have created here is a situation where for 48 minutes, every time that Karl Anthony Towns gets the ball, he's got to go through 2 players, not 1. A lot of 4's got to go through 1 guy. Because on the flip side, for most teams, and this is not true of Minnesota, Rudy Gobert doesn't scare anybody offensively, right? Nobody's afraid of Rudy Gobert, the offensive player. He's a putback player only. Nobody's afraid of the guy. So what happens is your big man can shade away from Gobert. You can bring the other player across to block off that passing lane. And now every time Cat drives, he's got a defender that went with him, and he's got a 7-footer in front of him. He's been negated. And unless he comes out tonight and pops like 6, 7 3-pointers, Dallas is going to win this game. That's where I'm falling on it.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Tweet.
Lonzo? Am I right?
You're right. And Kyrie Irving, the one guy who's won a championship, I think from both teams, I think he'll step up and you'll see some leadership. Yes, I said leadership from Kyrie. It is possible. And I think he'll show Luka how to go into the finals. All right, the first thing that's Xing today is Waffle House.
Obviously, it is because we talked about the Waffle House yesterday, talking about the different ways you can get your ham and cheese omelet with your hash browns off on the side. And obviously, once it gets talked about on the Rob Brown Show, to the moon. However, I don't think that's why it's trending. I am going to say it is because Waffle House turns 85 years old today.
No, there's another big time fight at Waffle House. I don't know. And these things are starting to look like they're planned, because if you look at one of the latest ones, there are like people lined up all around the glass of the Waffle House with their phones out. They could have actually been there eating, but I don't think so. I think they were there because they knew something was going to go down. And I will say the Waffle House, the people who work at Waffle House, they usually hold their own pretty good.
Dude,
because you are not a normal person if you're working at the Waffle House.
There was one from last year. I want to say it was in Atlanta or just outside of Atlanta. There was one from last year where some folks got into it, and one of the Waffle House employees came out holding a chair like they were about to go full 90s Attitude Era WWE on it, and started slanging that thing at some of the folks that were having fisticuffs at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, every Waffle House I've ever been in has one guy or gal working behind the counter that you can look at and go, yeah, I don't want none.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm almost sit right here in this seat, real quiet and respectful. Like,
well, it seems like the trend is for girls to go after the girl on the other side. She's just as tough, and there were chairs involved in the one that I saw that showed up a bunch, and I think that's why it's Xing. The next thing that's Xing is He-Man.
He-Man, because we just learned that we're getting a live-action He-Man movie.
We did, and they have cast.
Oh, is that real? I was just kidding.
Yes, it's unfortunate. I mean,
It's unfortunate.
I saw the live action one with Dolph Lundgren in it in the 80s, and in the theater, I got duped into that. So Skeletor wasn't bad in that, but yeah. Anyway, so there's a new one. They just cast He-Man. Have no idea who the actor is. I mean, I read the name, but I've never seen him before, and people are really upset that he's not the guy who plays Reacher, because they're trying to put him into everything.
Yeah, they are. Which, by the way, have you watched any of that?
I haven't. Cameron's watched it. He told me to watch. He says it's really good. I just haven't gotten into it yet.
I have heard it is one of the better efforts of the streaming issues. But I haven't seen it yet. That guy, by the way, from the town next to my hometown.
Rickson.
Yeah, he is from.
I can't even say his last name.
He is from Niceville, Florida, which is 10 minutes north of where I live.
Been in a ton of things. Always really good.
Okay, I just looked up the cat playing He-Man. Who's gonna be He-Man though? Because he looks like
that's what I think. I think
he's the Clark Kent to the
he's
Superman.
Adam. He's Adam. Yeah, and somebody else is probably gonna play He-Man. Yeah. And the last thing that's Xing is Debo.
San Francisco signed a wide receiver today. It wasn't Debo and it wasn't Brandon Ayuk. However, San Francisco decided that they were going to go and hand a big contract to Jawan Johnson, not Debo or Niners. What are you doing? Hey, that's it for us. Y'all have a good rest of your Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again, but better. I don't know how. We'll figure it out on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate later. Yeah.
All right, now the most important.
All right, guys, we're going to bail out.
You have to do
so they can do numbers. Appreciate you guys being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. Tell your friends about us. Have a lovely rest of your Thursday. I will see you all later.